Yesterday, my life was headed in one direction. Today, it is headed in another. You ever think the universe is against you? Fear, belief, love, phenomena that determine the course of our lives. These forces begin long before we are born and continue after we perish.
Our lives are not our own. We are bound to others, past and present. And by each crime and every kindness, we birth our future.
I will let you go again.
I believe there is another world waiting for us, a better world. And I'll be waiting for you there.
You're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network. OutlawRadioNetwork.com.
All right, everybody, it's the Outlaw Radio Network. I got echo. Echo. There we go. All right, Outlaw Radio Network for the 23rd of August, 2023. Thanks for checking out the show. K-Dog and Black Tom, and Paul is sauntering into studio with his septic swill. Remember, folks, you can get septic swill. And if you really want to do like an Outlaw Radio Network like poo-poo platter, what you do is you get some septic swill, you mix it with some alcohol from our good friends at Black Ring Spirits, and then you sit in your bathtub watching Yellowstone. That's how you spend an Outlaw Radio Network kind of night right there.
What booze are you thinking is going to mix with kratom the best?
Probably your what is it, cherry?
No, the candy apple red.
Candy apple red. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh,
That's what I'm thinking.
yeah. That.
And Paul was here and now he's gone. Good night, everybody. All right. He'll be back.
Either that or the gin.
I don't know. I've never been a gin guy.
Neither have I until I made my first batch, and I drank a lot of gin and tonics over the summer.
Did you?
It was really refreshing. Yeah.
All right. This is alcohol talk brought to you by Black Ring Spirits. Is your wife becoming less attractive? Is your husband putting on weight?
Oh,
you could ignore all of that if you're drunk. Pick up your beverages from Black Ring Spirits and forget how bad your spouse has deteriorated since the marriage.
Oh,
can I be in charge of your? Can I be in charge of your PR and your marketing? Yes, Lori.
If you don't want to have sex, get him drunk.
Oh,
if you don't want, doesn't alcohol make them more likely to want to? No, did for me.
You ever heard of whiskey ick?
Depressive.
I have heard of whiskey ick. Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It does happen.
Okay. All righty. Well, good to hear. People are everywhere. Like, was Paul there just a second ago and now he's gone? I don't know. Whatever. How's everybody's week? Anything interesting going on?
Not interesting to the average person. No.
Okay. No. Lori, anything interesting in your world?
So much. No. We're just doing some major software implementations for the next 9 months. So life sucks.
Oh, that sounds like hell.
It is.
All right. Nothing from Boss Baby? No. Okay. I have breaking news, Dennis. Do you have breaking news music you can cue up for me? I actually have some real breaking news.
Oh.
And this actually goes against something that we said on this show last week.
Oh.
Maybe I said last week. Somebody said it last week. I think somebody else said it and I agree with it.
Oh.
Breaking news out of Kitsap County. The Kitsap County Fair is this weekend. And no, you cannot get into the fair for free.
No, I think
They are resuming.
Nope, they have brought back. You're gonna pay to come into this.
Hold on. Listen. Here's how stupid this is. It's $10 to get into the fair.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not
if
bad.
you're 13 or over. So I don't know why this became the cool thing for businesses to do. Like, it used to be adults paid an adult rate and teens paid a teen rate and kids paid a kids rate,
or they were free.
And now there is no teen rate. We're charging teens like they're adults. Like, there's no better way to say to our teenagers, feel free to come to the fair, but we're going to make you pay like an adult. That's effing stupid.
You wanted to feel grown. Here we go.
Yeah.
We're going to start with your parents.
13 and over. And the fair is rolling out on Thursday, like early in the day, I think is what it is. They're doing their family day.
You mean
That's
like
Wednesday
tomorrow?
usually.
Oh, family of 4 can get in for 70. Hold on. No, it wasn't 70.
Say,
What was it? No,
Family of 4
was
should be like 40
like
bucks.
20, 25 bucks, I think is what it
Okay.
was, or something like that. Like that. I'm dramatically opposed to paying to get into the freaking fair anyway, because it's our tax dollars that are maintaining the buildings and paying for the grounds to be chopped and weeded and all that. They should be making money off of the vendors that are down there. They're making money off of all the people that come down there that pay to ride the rides, or however that whole thing works. I don't understand. Whatever. Local.
Did you add parking?
Oh, you got to pay for parking. Don't forget paying for parking.
And that's usually about as much as 2 paid adults.
Yeah. I think it's dumb. I think it's absolutely stupid and ridiculous.
And you're paying for less vendors.
Yeah. Well,
less attractions.
Yeah. Listen, I believe they increased the cost on vendors. And listen, this is the issue that we ran into with COVID is that during COVID, a lot of the ride companies went out of business. So now you have to fight with other events to get a ride company in down there, because there's just so many ride companies to go around between all these places that are doing their fairs and stuff. This is stupid.
I mean, it's gotten so bad. Let's put it this way: at the fair, well, even now at the Demolition Derby, Crazy Eric's, our own greasy burger superstore.
God bless them.
It's scaled back. You can't even get fries from Crazy Eric's anymore at the Derby or the fair.
I'm sorry.
What?
Why?
And they don't have any more stands either. They have less stands. No fries. You can get burgers and chips.
Why?
And a
No
corn
garlic fries. Yes.
You get
Gone.
corn dog.
God dang it!
Why?
I asked you why.
Why?
You're talking. You have no
I
microphone.
don't know. They've had to scale back.
Really?
Yeah.
And they scaled back French fries, like the cheapest add-on thing you could have, and that's depressing,
Yeah, but
Dennis.
They may have
Of course,
scaled
remember,
back.
Crazy
the-
Eric's, they charge you for the ketchup.
Do they really?
No.
Okay. I don't know. I've
They-
never had to pay for ketchup.
They may have got rid of the fryers.
Even if they do charge you for the ketchup,
No,
but you cannot get garlic fries, and that was such a huge seller out there.
For
No,
sure.
it's not about getting rid of the fryers, because they still make the corn dogs.
Oh, that's true. They do.
Yeah,
have the
and that corn dogs go. I don't
Yeah.
know. Listen,
I don't know. They're corn dogs. They put on a roller.
Oh,
They
so
do. They don't deep fry the corn dogs.
Well, they might deep fry them, but they put them on a warmer after that. They're pre-made.
I'm gonna tell you this right now. When I was at Whaling Days, and they had the foot long, like monster long, like corn dogs. Like they had 8 different kinds of corn dogs. They had like a Louisiana hot lane corn dog, and they had a Wisconsin cheese brat corn dog.
that wasn't crazy.
Does anybody else
was
hear
it?
the
No, it was
accent
an
he's
outside
talking in
place.
right
Oh,
now?
okay. Oh, it was so
Yeah,
good.
and he's like shaking her head. Yes, like you're totally saying that in an accent.
Was I?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
totally.
so good.
Rolling,
So good.
rolling,
Yeah,
rolling.
now they just get their hot corn dogs pre-made from Cisco and
Put
like
them
I
on a
said,
roller.
put them on a roller.
Probably. All right. So listen, I did a lot of in-depth research for this subject, for this topic, right?
On anything?
Yeah, on this about
On
me
what?
about me bitching about the fact I got to pay $10 to go into the fair in my own community for the stuff that my tax dollars help to go support. Guess how much it costs to get into the Puyallup Fair?
Oh, it's free if
can
you
I-
live there.
No, it's not.
Yeah, the kids all get to go for free. All the school kids.
Only if you go to Fred Meyer.
If you're in Pierce County, yeah,
yeah,
the schools
if you
give
go
out-
to Fred
yeah.
Meyer. Yeah.
$14 to get in the Puyallup Fair.
Okay, but
$14.
Puyallup is not a
Hold on.
state-sponsored fair.
That's right,
It
it's
is
the
a
county.
for-profit corporation.
For
It's
sure.
not even county.
Hold on. I'm not knocking them for charging it. Hold on, listen. $14. Are you telling me that the Puyallup Fair is only $4 better than the Kitsap County Fair, Rodeo Stampede, and Cluster F? Yeah, is that what? Because I'll tell you right now, if $14 is the benchmark I'm going to measure this stuff across, then the Kitsap County Fair should be paying me $1.95 to come in.
Well, identify as something else. Get yourself a
Fun
a
fact.
free
And
card.
if Kitsap County Fair is $10 to get in, then the Puyallup Fair should be $27. Like, comparatively speaking, it's not even close. What is that? Let me see that. It's not even close. Can I
Fun
read that
fact.
on there? Okay, fun
yes,
fact.
you can.
Yeah.
2019,
2019.
it was free to go to the fair.
No,
at
we knew
Kitsap.
that. Yeah, it was
No,
free.
I know, but pre-pandemic.
Yeah. Oh, pre-pandemic it was
Yes.
free.
Yeah, pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
And so now the Kitsap County Fair is charging what? $10 a person.
$10 a person to get in, plus whatever it's going to cost for you for parking, plus the fact that they charge. Oh, it's $1 a ride ticket. Oh, that's cheap. Until you realize you got to spend 6 ride tickets to ride a good ride.
Listen,
it's dumb.
First of all, the rides are completely separate. That's a separate company that is coming in trying to make money.
I agree.
And they've always been about the money, and it's always been a ridiculous waste of money to buy tickets. That's why you always take your kids on the day when they get to wear the bracelet for $50 and they get to ride everything they want, right? So that's why you do that. But the fair, why do you have a problem with them charging $10 for the county fair? Because when it was free, it was crap. It was a waste of oxygen, a waste of space. There was hardly any booths that were there. It was just poor. I mean, the President's Hall was only half full of vendors.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Because you're getting ready to see the same fair and you're going to pay for it.
Yeah,
Just
it's not
like
going to
you
be any
were
better
before they did it free.
It's not going to be any better than 2019.
So how do you know that? And now, if the fair goes on and it's $10 a ticket and it isn't better than 2019, then you have a reason to complain.
I don't believe that in the community.
That settles it. You don't believe.
I don't believe that in the community where our tax money goes to fund the shacks and the maintenance and the workers and the upkeep and the concrete and the roads and the little vehicles they drive around and all that stuff. I don't believe that anybody from Kitsap County should have to pay a penny to go into a publicly owned, because it's a publicly owned area, right? It's taxpayer owned. The taxpayers own that. It doesn't belong to anybody. It's publicly funded.
Yeah,
we should never have to pay to go in there.
I
Ever.
adore you like a child I never had.
Use any of those facilities.
I hold on. Let's talk about this from a business perspective, okay, for a second. And I get that you don't have you have some experience in that realm.
Oh, here we go with the
No, you do. You have some experience in that realm.
Hurt your feelings, Paul.
But here's
we've been getting
hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish before you smack me into next week, Dennis. But here's the thing, right? So everybody here, myself included, have complained about the lack of entertainment and acts that they have brought into the fair, right? I mean, I remember going to see Lee Greenwood at the fair and others. They used to have some big name acts that came in there. And part of the reason that they were able to do that is because they were charging you ticket fees, right? So that money has to come from somewhere. Quite frankly, I'm okay with them paying more and me paying extra, for example, for the Derby, right? Those guys deserve to be paid for the time, and they do, for the time, effort, everything that goes into what they do. Right?
No, they brought money back to the fair.
If you're going to, God dang it, Dennis, you're killing me. You're killing me. He's pissing in my cornflakes. Anyway, point just is though, is that if we want them to bring these big name acts back in, right? And these guys do play the fair circuit. A lot of the big country acts and even some hip hop acts, right? They play the fair circuit. If we want to be able to have some of those acts come into our local town, that money's got to come from somewhere. Now, but they charge us and they don't hire anybody, then it's
now
it's a moot point.
Back before when those acts were coming through,
yes,
we'll say I remember when Eddie Money came through. He was
so does
the
Kevin.
Headliner. For this, that was a previous year, but the most recently, because I was actually working a fair that year. No, they were charging a ticket price to go to that separate.
Yes,
so that was add on.
Yeah,
and they're doing that for this one
compared
too.
to the normal, and that's what they're doing now to this one. And the fact is, they gave control of the arena to the, I guess, the wranglers,
the fair committee, the rodeo committee folks.
And so no Derby.
Wait, there's no Derby at the fair this year?
Nope.
Okay, well that's crap because that's like an institution.
And the Derby has packed those stands to capacity
every year.
Turned people
for sure
away.
For sure. I here's what I would say though to that, because you brought up a really good point. Like they charge an extra fee for tickets to those acts. So from a business perspective, though, you're talking about a loss leader and a profit and loss statement, right? So you might have an entertainer that comes in that's charging you $50,000, right? And you're charging $10 at the door, and you know you're going to get $30,000 tickets at the door. You have to still supplement it. I'm not saying that's what they're doing. I'm just saying that makes business sense, right? So you're charging
but
the
if
tickets.
They're going to supplement, they need to either one, go bigger with their acts.
No disagreement.
Bring a bigger draw. Or market it better to where at least the act is bringing in more money. That way you're not robbing from Peter to pay Paul.
So remember,
agree.
Remember the big act.
No pun intended.
Remember the big act that's coming in. Trace Adkins, honky tonk, badonka donk, right? Is going to be there. Tickets range anywhere from $35 to $100. Okay. So, but those are separate. Those are standalone tickets, right? You have to pay extra to go to that event.
To the fair.
Well, you get admission to whoop-de-doo. You get admission to the fair. Okay, fine, perfect. what so the live entertainment idea, Paul, that you brought up is automatically moot because you're paying for tickets to go see Trace Adkins. So that money is going to fund that, right? What else are you paying? What are you paying to have the honor to do with the Kitsap County Fairgrounds, Stampede, Rodeo, and Cluster F? What
Walk through the front gate.
You're paying for the honor to walk through buildings that your tax dollars pay for, to see other people's 4-H animals, to pay expensive money to buy food, which is your decision if you want to buy. But you're paying extra money so that you have the right
to enter these competitions.
Hold on. So let's break it down to the just of your point here. Is you're asking what are you paying for?
Yeah, you're just paying for the right to walk through land that the taxpayers already own.
Okay, but again, that fair doesn't get put on for free, right? You need to really sit down, and I don't want you to whine and say, "Oh, Paul, you're making fun of me," but they're not. But listen, I'm there with you, man. I've been critical of the fair since Mindy Byers had a show on our network, right? And she was on her knees like Kamala Harris. I'm simply saying, what? She's dead, so she's not going to complain.
Why are you saying
the point? The point is,
Paul's views don't necessarily reflect Outlaw Radio
Yes,
Network.
they do.
What I'm saying is that I don't even remember now. I don't even remember what I was saying. The things aren't porta potties cost money. Yes. Electricity costs money. There's a lot of things that you have to sit down and really struggle with where the money is going to come from to pay for on an underfinanced. Now, don't get me started on our tax dollars and where they go to, because I got a whole damn segment straightened out on that one ready to go. I just actually listened to the words for Richmond, north of Richmond, and it pissed me off. We went to war over 12 cents, folks. 1776. Ring a bell?
12 cents went a lot further then.
God, Tom. Yes, of course, 12 cents went a lot further than like that was a month's salary, dude. But still, you kill me, man. You kill me.
Let me explain to you where the money comes from this, Paul.
Okay, you explain to me.
This is really simple, Paul. You know how much a 10x10 booth costs at the Kitsap County Fair?
Hold up, for how long?
This was last year's numbers.
Okay. So the fair is what, a week?
It's Wednesday to Sunday.
Okay.
$375.
Okay.
Yeah.
10x10 corner booth $450. 10x20 inline booth $700.
Okay.
Okay. I have a list in front of me.
That includes power and internet for you, by the way, too.
Right.
Does it include internet?
And a bunch of tickets to get people in.
They have to have internet to run the square. Yeah.
Correct.
Point of sale system.
Point of sale system.
I'm looking at the vendor list. Like, Paul, and I'm not going to, these are all the pavilion vendor lists in there. They're making money off of the vendors.
They should be making money everywhere. That's their job.
You're right. But they do not, again, and I'm catching a lot of flack from the folks in the chat room about how I'm a whiner, whatever. F all of you. The idea
Actually,
that
socialist.
The idea, no, I'm not being socialist. The idea
that's what you were called. I'm just saying.
The idea that we're being taxed. In fact, I'm surprised the Republicans don't agree with this. The fact that we're being taxed and forced to pay for this stuff that is supposed to be for our use, and then we're being charged money to go in there and use it when we've already been paying for it all year long is ridiculous to me.
Republicans
and the fact that the Republicans
it takes
are like,
money to make money. But I don't know what to tell you.
How many more vendors do you think you'd get in there if it was free?
None. We saw that.
No, we didn't see that. It was COVID.
2019 and COVID occurred, and the damn fair was 3/4 empty.
Yeah, but it was COVID.
I mean, there's probably the
2019 was the sorry, Phil. 2019 was the first year they didn't charge, and then 2021
and it was horrible, by the way.
But 2021 and 22 was COVID, so you can't base that off of there.
Well, 2019 was horrible.
Well,
the pavilion was half full. So half full.
Go ahead, Phil.
You walk up and down there, and it takes you 10 minutes to go through all the booths. You don't even stop at any because half of them are exactly the same. You got two people selling the same stuff, but are on different rows. It was pathetic, and the people that were running the fair did a pathetic and horrible job running it. It was terrible.
So three thoughts. Two of them related. Like I think
spit them out.
What do they call it? The Laffer curve.
Art Laffer. You talking about the pollster?
No, the one where if there's a certain price that if you go above it, you lose money. If you go below it, you lose money. That's probably the case in the price you charge for the fair. You charge more, you're going to get less people, make less money. You charge less, you get more people, but you make less money. And then at the same time, if you charge something, you kind of keep the riffraff out.
Well,
Am I wrong?
No, there's absolutely something to that. If you get a lot of undesirables when you open stuff up that's free, for sure.
When it's free.
Yeah.
And then the other one, and this is just to spin Kevin up some more.
Please do.
Navy Band Northwest is one of the hacks. That's right. Active duty Navy, you're paying to come see.
Yeah.
I just it is so. This is so stupid to me that we're going to charge people who are already paying for the whole thing for it to happen. They're also making money off the vendors. They're making money off of everything. They're making a ton of money off alcohol sales. This is
hold on.
stupid.
I'm going to push back on that. I don't think they're making any money off of alcohol sales. You heard me. Because those are volunteers and employees of a group of bars from Kitsap County. That's their Bar Owners Association of Kitsap County. They run that beer garden that's out there.
Yeah.
I don't believe that if they get anything, they might get maybe a small percentage, like 10 or 15% of the proceeds, but they're not making money hand over fist from that.
They have to make money.
Well, of course they have to make money, but what did I just say? I said they might be making a percentage off of it, but the Bar Owners Association are the ones that are putting employees in there. They're paying for the insurance. They're paying the employees' wages. So the fair is not going to be making that much off of, because you can't not give away beer or alcohol. You have to charge for it.
Yeah, you can't operate at a loss. That's against the law.
Right. Yeah. So I'm sorry, but they're not going to be making that much. Plus they I don't know if they pay the entertainment or not that's in the beer garden. That's a whole nother issue.
I'm sure they do. No, those bands aren't. Joey James Dean used to play out there all the time. He doesn't play. He didn't play for free.
He did.
He didn't play for free.
I don't know. All
right, we'll talk about this.
I know some
of
the douchebags he had on stage with him.
Outlaw Radio.
They didn't get paid.
Back after this. Mega Talk. All right, comments in the chat. Gina said, "What is the money used for?" I don't know.
It goes into the county general fund.
Yeah, so we're on
Probably
Facebook.
maintenance and upkeep.
Tell you
next year.
Tell you what it's not used for: fixing our roads.
Heidi says, "I'm more upset I have to pay to use the
1,000%.
HOV lane." Heidi, I'm annoyed with that as well. However, it is
1,000%.
It is the exact same principle. I don't know why you can't understand this, Paul. You pay for something.
Oh, time out.
You pay for something.
You better rephrase
Your tax
that.
dollars go to support that,
Yes.
to make that happen. You should not have to pay extra for it. It's the exact same thing. HOV lane or the county fairgrounds. Your money went into it. You shouldn't have to pay to use it.
I want my county run and my city run and my state run endeavors to make money and be more profitable, therefore taking less money from me at the point of a gun in the form of taxes. I want them to be self-supporting.
But hey, Paul.
Yes.
The problem is they're doing both.
They are doing both.
Well,
yeah,
I haven't seen a profit and loss statement for them, so I can't say that one way or another. Have you seen one? No, I'm being very serious.
Do you want me to look it up?
No.
Yeah, if you can, because I don't know, and I don't want to speculate.
We're in Washington.
We are, and we're tipped over to the left, baby.
Yeah. What was the surplus? The state
$2 billion.
The state.
Billion.
But that's a big difference between the state
No, it's
surplus
not.
and the
Yeah,
county.
it is. Yeah, it is.
It's a huge difference.
No. What I'm getting at is the county is in the state that had a $2 billion surplus.
Yes.
They're not respectful of
But
your
there's
tax
different
dollar. They're
revenue
not
sources.
But they're not respectful of your tax dollar.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. I totally agree with
I'm-
that.
So, I kind of agree with Kevin here.
And-
I think they're having their cake. They're eating it too. Yep. No,
That's good.
they're-
But listen, and I love you both, but neither one of you can prove that to me. Neither one of you have seen the numbers and the financial statistics. Lori's pulling it up, and I'm not going to speculate without seeing that.
I'll speculate.
But you guys are speculating, like you said, Tom. You guys are speculating out of just pure disgust. You're like, oh God,
How
blah,
could they
blah, blah.
afford to do it for 3 years, but now they can't afford to do it now? That doesn't make any sense to me. Why for 3 years was it okay to not charge, and now suddenly it's
Because
not
maybe
okay to
for
not
3
charge?
years they were okay with taking a loss because they had a surplus. Maybe now they're trying to slowly implement charging that money back so they can start ramping back up. I'm here to tell you, Tom, you're aware of this. When you have to start at ground zero on a business, there is a whole lot more that has to go into everything. than this idea of just, well, I'm going to give my services away for free. That's not how it works. And I want my government to be as self-sufficient as they can be. So if that means making money, and now don't get me
10
wrong.
seconds.
Hold on.
That means being
Hey, Outlaw Radio, we're coming back on AM. Stay right there.
Network.com.
Tom will finish his thought. And by the way, let me add, the Kitsap County Fair hasn't had like valid headlining entertainment in ever.
Since Moby Dick was a minute.
I mean, Trace Adkins hasn't had a hit since 2005. They had Steppenwolf a couple of years ago.
now that would have been cool.
They had Lee Greenwood 20 years after his prime.
I don't know who that
I mean,
is.
Lee Greenwood, God bless the USA.
I'm just mainly suggesting that let's not pretend like we're getting top tier talent out here to BFE. You know, Debbie's in the chat talking about how Jason Aldean was in North Platte, Nebraska, and North Platte is smaller than Gorst.
Who?
Jason Aldean. He's a pretty big country
But
guy.
that's
Oh, he was the guy that was in Vegas during the shooting.
Yeah,
right?
he's also the guy that don't try that in small town or
Yeah,
try this
yeah.
in small town, whatever.
Listen.
Yeah,
North
we're
Platte
getting-
is
we're-
not smaller than Gorst. We don't need to exaggerate this
We're
stuff.
we're
but
getting people in Kitsap that have to use a walker on stage to perform. So let's not pretend we're getting the cream of the musical crop.
listen, and I just want to, Danny, I adore you. You're so full of it sometimes.
Honky-tonk.
Taxation is theft, plain and simple. Listen, that is the most
Honky-tonk.
ridiculous statement in the history of statements. Okay, because if you enjoy any job that remotely has anything to do with the state, or if you enjoy the military protection that you're given, listen, taxation is a necessary evil. Now, to what degree is a different story, but to say that taxation is theft is just a bold-faced statement of just pure ignorance.
No,
we're gonna pay our taxes whether you like it or not.
I agree with him right now because we are not equally taxed.
Different
Not-
statement though.
It's still
But it is
taxation of 2023 is theft.
No, it's not.
Yes,
You can
it
say
is.
we pay too much.
Too
That's a
much,
realistic
and
statement.
and it's unequal, and everything about it is wrong.
But the statement taxation is theft is not accurate. It's not correct because there are things that we all benefit from as a result of our taxes.
But there's a
now you can
great
argue
sentiment behind
you
it.
can argue the tax rate is too high or taxes go to the wrong things.
So if I take your money, Paul, and somehow make
Now-
it benefit you, that
no,
makes it okay?
Phil, that's not an appropriate argument. It's not. Okay. You pay taxes and you drive on roads. Now you can argue about the roads not being taken care of, but you don't drive on dirt, do you? Your kids go to school, right?
What about people who pay taxes that don't drive on roads?
What about them?
Is it fair?
Yes.
Why?
Because
they're
I
still
guarantee
benefiting from the-
guarantee you they get around somehow.
And they buy milk that has to be delivered on those roads, and they buy bread, and they
But
take their kids go to school. And
But the truck driver pays their taxes.
Yes,
Isn't the
as
tax
they
already
should.
paid?
let me just say this.
You can argue. Hold on, Kevin.
Go
You
ahead.
can argue the amount. That's fine.
Yes.
But it is a false argument to say that taxation is theft because I guarantee you, if you don't want to pay your taxes, you don't have to. Now you can face consequences.
Yeah, they'll take your house.
But as we've already shown, which is
Pennies on the dollar.
okay. You got to stop talking over people. you can choose to not pay taxes. Okay, that is your legal right to do. For some people, there are ramifications, but the IRS has already proven beyond a benefit of a doubt. If you never start paying taxes, there is no law compelling you to ever pay them. So that's just a fact.
Yep. Let me say this, and Danny, this will be a shot directly across your bow. For a long time, you worked for the State Department of Corrections. If you collect a paycheck from the state or federal government, which is derived directly from people who pay taxes, and then you say taxation is theft, it makes you a hypocrite. Like, you can't derive your wages as a result of taxes and then say, but taxation is theft. Like, I don't know how you equivocate the two. I agree with Paul. I think our taxes are too high, and they're purely mismanaged.
They are, and
they're-
everybody has a right to complain about that, especially Tom.
and they're wholly
'Cause
mismanaged.
he pays twice as much.
They're wholly mismanaged, right? The way that they spend our money is wrong. Their projects are wrong. The level of bureaucracy, like all of that, I get.
And
but-
all of that is what brings about the phrase taxation is theft. It's a sentiment.
Sentiment is fine, but it's a false
it is-
argument. That's my point.
Yeah, it's not. The same.
I disagree. It's a false argument. I mean, you can mince words over it, but when you get right down to it, we were supposed to have equal representation, equal taxation, et cetera, and that's the farthest thing from.
So
what any of
I
us
think I know where you're
experience right
going.
now.
So let me lead you with this question: do we not have equal representation?
For taxation,
Yes.
I mean equal representation and taxation. So the amount that you are represented should equal the amount you pay. But there's
I do not understand what you mean there.
If I pay more in taxes, I would think I would have a little bit more clout when I gripe and complain about something.
So you should get 2 votes?
Sure. Why not?
Okay, that's a fair argument. I can't take anything away from that.
I would
Have a vote
just
based
like
on the value of your property.
Damn, Elon Musk could have a lot of votes stacked up.
Right?
No, what I mean on the tax conversation,
Yeah.
what I would like to see is just a equal tax on all products across all industries.
Like a fair use tax.
A fair tax.
Like a
period.
flat tax.
Flat, sure.
Yeah, actually, I totally
Herman-
would be in favor of that.
Herman Cain had the 999 tax
999 plan. Then he died of
idea.
COVID. Oh, I
Idea
said
that he had.
COVID.
Listen, here's the deal. I think that there's 2 discussions here, right? One is an insanely stupid discussion I don't want to waste any more time on, which is taxation theft, right? I think that's an idiotic conversation.
Is it?
I think that is an idiotic conversation. I really
Is
do.
it?
Yes, because
Taxation is theft.
there is a
Kevin totally went to
Shut
the
up,
gold
Paul.
side.
there is a level of responsibility when you live in a society that you have an expectation to contribute in some way, shape, or form to maintaining that society, right?
Yes.
Now, the flip side of that, and a discussion we totally can have, is the tax structure itself. How is it attributed? Who pays? How much do they pay? Where does the money go? All that's a really valid conversation. But you can't tell me that I don't have an obligation to contribute my nickels and dimes back into the roads and the sidewalks and the military and Social Security and whatever those programs are that you're going to benefit from in your life. Your tax money is going to have to go to that. If we didn't pay taxes, we wouldn't have a country, folks. I hate to break it to you. I mean, on one hand, Republicans are like, we need better southern border security. We need a wall and more border patrol agents, but we don't want to pay taxes. Well, then how in the name of God are you going to pay for all of that?
Well, that's a funny question considering the Biden administration just put up all of President Trump's border wall that was never installed up on the .gov website for auction.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, how do you pay for the things? There are
just
things
walked right past that one.
there are things that are important to people that they want the government to get involved on. Conservatives, you guys included, right? We want to be tougher on crime. We want to have good police force. We want to have a strong military. And yet a lot of us don't want to pay taxes because taxation is theft or it's wrong. It's not constitutional. Well, how do you pay for all of that stuff? You don't.
Okay. No, we didn't exist fine prior to taxes. In fact, how do you think the United States, before it was the United States, levied an army to fight the British? They levied taxes.
Yeah. Tariffs, taxes.
They literally levied taxes, and they sent their representatives from Pennsylvania back to the home states to gather money to pay George Washington's army. Look, I am all for a fair use tax.
I mean, it wasn't an income tax. What was it?
No, it wasn't an income tax. It was literally.
It was a tax levy.
It was. I think a levy is the appropriate term. Yeah. I'm not a historical expert. I wasn't there.
Historical tax expert.
Yeah,
Come on, Paul, go for it.
No, I wasn't. But I just it's just such a strange argument to me as a veteran to hear people. Like I said, I understand the argument that we pay too much. Our roads are crap. Like people have every right to do. And here's the thing: I pay taxes. My kids go to school. I drive on the roads. But if I break a tie rod because there's a pothole in the road, who has to pay for it? I do, even though my taxes paid for the road. Like, why shouldn't the county or the city pay for the road? It was their road that broke my tie rod, right? I mean, so some of this stuff, I totally agree. But we can't go through life with this idea that we shouldn't pay taxes because the taxes go for things that we all benefit from. I hate to, and it pains me greatly to agree with a small sentiment of what President Barack Obama said when he said, he made the comment years ago where he said, you didn't build that. Well, he worded it wrong, but I understood the sentiment behind it. The sentiment being that we all pay taxes, therefore we all contribute to the system that allowed you to build your business, right? We all pay into the roads, we all pay into the infrastructure, we all paid into, to the power company, so the power could be run and water could be run and sewer could be run. So there's a lot of things from a lot of people that go into a system that allows us all to be successful, right? Tom has a beautiful distillery downstairs. Tom didn't build this building. Tom didn't run power to it. He didn't pour the asphalt place for people to park to come in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tom built the innards of his business. He built the goodwill with his customers.
And he pays a lease to have
And
the
yes,
privilege of
yes,
all those resources.
1,000%. But that goes to the person who owns the building.
But he voluntarily pays that lease.
For sure.
I mean, he agreed to it, so it's
For sure.
It's not voluntary if you don't have the money, but you still got to pay it, right? Because you agreed.
Absolutely.
Up front.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And again, just to put you a little bit of context, there has been a form of taxes in this country since it was founded. Now, they didn't call it taxes; they called them tariffs, and they had excise taxes, but they were taxes from the beginning. Now, as the federal government expanded and more things were being supported by the federal government and more costs had to go out, they had to create new revenue streams and they had to create new taxes. If you remember, that's what the Risky Rebellion was all about. In 1791, they imposed a tax on alcohol, and people got pissed off and rose up about it. I mean, this is not a foreign concept.
It's just, I find it to be a false dichotomy. I see a lot of people arguing about taxes in general instead of looking at the nuts and bolts, instead of looking at the numbers and the sheets and everything that gets put out, because the counties and the cities and the states have to be transparent, right? They have to show you where the money goes. You want to argue about something? Argue with those agencies about where the money is going. Go to the city council meeting and say, you're putting X amount of dollars towards X, Y, and Z. I think it should go towards this.
Yep.
That's where those arguments need to be made. Go ahead, Tom.
The trouble is, you're, especially on the local level, your small governments, a small city and small county governments, they're not that transparent. You've really got to work hard to get an honest answer from one of those talking head bureaucrats.
I don't disagree with you in a real basic sense. And I support that's why I support the people like what people like Robert Parker do, right?
Yeah.
They're filing the FOIAs, they're using the PDCs, they're holding people accountable. That's what it takes. Listen, a lot of people, we can all sit here and probably agree. In fact, a lot of the people that are in the chat room would probably agree. When you look at things that are like going on up in Paulsbo and in other small towns, our local governments are out of control.
Yes.
Out of control in what they are doing and how they are treating their constituents. Police are being called on constituents at city meetings or at school board meetings, right?
Yeah.
Because people are standing up and arguing.
Yeah.
Whose fault is it that they've gotten that overbearing? It's ours.
Yeah.
It's our fault because we let them.
Yes.
They are there because we elect them and we allow them to be there. So if you have a local, like, say, school council, right? And they're calling the police because 300 parents showed up because they were pissed about the curriculum, right? Then you don't just vote them out. You go to your friend's house and your friend says, well, I voted for person X, Y, or Z. Yeah, well, guess what? They called the cops on me because I went to the school board meeting and they didn't like what I had to say. Most people are so unaware and uninvolved. They're ignorant.
Yep.
Most people are completely ignorant of all of this stuff that goes on. So it falls on the people that know to do. I know some of you don't like to hear that, but it's true. You have a responsibility if you know to do. Kind of like Nicolas Cage in National Treasure.
Well, that whole conversation goes back to how we vote.
Absolutely.
100%. We're a country full of lemmings, and no one does any vetting or homework or anything when they go to vote.
99% don't. I totally agree with you.
No,
totally agree.
I don't think it has anything to do with how we vote, because I feel like both the parties are playing the same shell game, just in different ways.
Well, of course they are.
You know what I mean? And so,
which is why both parties need to be fired.
I know that. And this libertarian moment is brought. I want to read you a
walked
comment.
right into it.
Danny said,
"You did pitch me a softball."
Totally.
Danny said, "How can we argue about the nuts and bolts when we can't even see the nuts and bolts? The politicians
Thank you.
hide the nuts and damn bolts."
Thank you.
And he's absolutely right. And here's the other part of it too.
I bet if I asked Lori to pull up the budget for the city of Bremerton, she could do it in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Lori. Could you do that?
Well, I just had the Kitsap County.
Okay, that was Kitsap County.
Yeah.
And a reason
so
I bring that
29 million
Yeah.
non-major governmental funds towards the county fair.
and I knew that she could do that because
$23 million.
29.
Yeah, $29 million to the fair.
And they still want to charge us
To the
$10.
fair.
$10 a head.
$29 million to the fair.
You just
For
killed my whole
2021.
argument.
$29 million.
No, that's not now. It's not
2021.
current.
Did we even have a fair in 2021?
Yeah, it was a COVID fair that nobody came to because everybody stay inside.
That's
and keep
why
your
they
mask on."
had the non-major governmental funds pushed towards the fair. That's
by the
money
way-
pushed towards the fair.
By the way, next hour we're going to talk about the college in Georgia that has now suddenly required all the COVID stuff to come back. Like
You
gotta-
said COVID again.
you got to wear a
gonna get us
mask to
booted
go to
off of
college in
off of
Georgia and
YouTube.
maintain social distancing.
Good thing we have
Epping hillbillies. I swear to
What?
God, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll talk about it. Yeah.
yeah, it's coming back.
It's worse.
Wow.
And then there were more. I don't know if you guys saw my post in the chat room, but more bogus
$29
ballots were
million.
found.
Yeah, I saw that.
What?
Yeah. More bogus ballots were found in a different
In-
location.
in Michigan.
No,
Where?
we'll get to it.
Okay,
And yeah,
Yeah.
I have
that's a
not seen
teaser.
that.
Who were they for?
Same
so-
state as
the-
the college, right?
Yeah. So we'll when we do that segment, you guys are all gonna be like, "What, Paul? What?"
Okay, so
Yeah.
here's been the news cycle for Tom just today.
Can I, before you tell us, I'm envisioning this and I'm seeing Tom like watching the news. Oh, okay. Sample.
Yeah,
Uh-huh,
no, it's
oh no, I gotta sample this
Drinking
one.
game.
what's funny is I'm actually on a medication today where I'm not allowed to drink. So Tom has not had anything
I'm
to
sorry.
drink today.
You doing okay?
Yeah, I
That's
banged
messed
I
up.
banged up my knee a bit, but
That's
it's
messed
Like
up.
no water or no alcohol?
no alcohol.
Oh.
I can drink all the water I want, but I'm thirsty, not dirty.
Well,
Um,
Isn't alcohol made of
Oh.
water?
well, it's a key ingredient, but I want something to drink. I don't
So
want
is
to wash
urine,
up.
but that's
Yeah.
not the point.
God.
And anyways, news cycle for me this morning. You know,
Yeah.
I roll out of bed and I'm reading some news, and was like 9 o'clock this morning. I was reading something about Prigozhin having
Yes.
shown up in Africa,
Yes.
right? And then all of a sudden, later on this afternoon, I'm like, "What? Prigozhin's dead? What the hell did I miss?"
Yeah,
I mean, I was
yeah.
reading all my news is obsolete
Yeah.
today.
Well, and it
I'm-
apparently, like they know. For those that don't know, there's video footage out there of a private jet falling out of the sky, and like not just like crashing, not that kind of falling out of the sky, like literally falling, like on fire, falling straight
Shot
down.
down.
Yeah, like shot down,
someone
and
just flipped the switch.
so well, either there was an explosion on board, can't imagine that happening,
Nah.
or anti-aircraft devices shot it down. The head of the Wagner Group, Yevgeny Prigozhin, his name was on the passenger list.
Mhm.
Now, they have not confirmed that he was actually on there or not.
The
If-
other person whose name was also on the passenger list was the original
That's
founder of
Yeah.
the Wagner Group,
Yep.
whose name I will not even try to pronounce because it's Russian and they have way too many consonants
Yet.
in their names. But he was supposedly on there as well.
Yes,
Mhm.
correct.
Um,
It
and
it wouldn't surprise me, dude, if Putin told somebody, okay, take him down, because
Yeah.
the dude, I mean, nobody lives when they cross Putin,
No.
right?
and that's what's amazing. Go ahead, Tom.
Oh, I wasn't trying to take us down that rabbit hole. I was just using that as an example of like my news cycle today has been an absolute mess.
Well,
Yeah,
and
dumpster fire.
I think this is a bigger story. I'm not sure if he's dead or not. Like, I would not bet on it
I wouldn't either.
because, as everybody is aware, and much to Holly's chagrin, my son, who is still active duty in the Army, his unit's being deployed to Poland.
Mm-hmm.
And they just had their big meeting, their whole battalion,
Mhm.
before they went, and they were told, when you touch down in Poland, we are in a combat situation.
Russian
Yep.
Aviation Agency has they're saying that he was on that plane.
Okay, doesn't
Well,
surprise
yeah, but
me.
And
it's
based on
Russian.
video, I don't think they'll be able to determine
Yeah.
via dental records. I mean, if you see that
No,
video,
DNA. They'll be able to.
I don't
pull
even know
DNA.
that there's
It-
anything.
it's hard to
left.
envision much being left,
Yeah.
right? Because you see that plane is on fire as it's falling straight
Oh,
down.
I saw it on the ground too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bad.
It's,
Well, and if
it's
you-
engulfed.
It,
There might be a little
hold on.
meat
Let's
left
talk
on
about
the
this more next
tooth
hour
root.
because I don't want to. I think there's a whole big
We-
discussion for us to
Yeah.
have.
We
about
can, and there is more to it. Like I said, he's going to be on. He's been told when they get down to the ground in Poland, they're in a combat situation, even though they're in Poland. Why were they told that? Because Wagner troops
Mhm.
have been intercepted in Poland.
Ooh.
Wagner is in Poland, and what they're doing in Poland is even more interesting. They are recruiting.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
Yeah,
So that
and-
poses some interesting things that could be occurring
Mhm.
underneath the surface of the water, if you catch my meaning.
So we just
Yeah.
have a really weird news cycle today.
Well, and
It's a weird time to be alive,
I had a scheduled Zoom call with a bunch of former coworkers, and one of them happens to have retired back to Poland.
Mhm.
And we rescheduled over the weekend. We're no longer able to include said person because they don't know if they'll be in Poland or relocating to a different
gotcha.
European country.
I got you. Yeah, Poland is on the front lines. There's no
Yes.
denying it.
Yes,
The
they are.
Belarusian forces, as well as the Wagner forces, have been seen and watched moving closer to the border. Am I concerned about my son going there? Without a doubt.
Oh yeah.
You know, it is a tenuous at best situation. So
Well, we should all be concerned because Poland is a NATO
Yes, they
ally.
are.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Yep. And if something happens and it's already happened, quote unquote, unintentionally in Poland,
Right.
right? So, you know,
Oh, there's so much that's been going on because Ukraine has been dropping the leaflets, and so has Russia.
yes,
Poland's been papered since the first invasion. Dude.
yes, yeah, for sure, 1,000%.
All right, $29 million to the fair from the county.
2021.
$29 million.
Yep.
20.
So I bet you that means
Oh my God.
2023 was probably more than $29 million.
I could put that fair on for about a third of that.
Well, let's do
Oh
it.
yeah.
No, who? Obviously,
Easily.
the county's involved, but isn't what's the name? Sonny Saunders, like part of what it organizes.
I think she's
events?
in management. I think she manages the
Yeah.
fair.
There's like 45 people who are on there
Yeah.
as, committee members and leaders and all of that.
So too much
yeah.
bureaucracy is what you're saying.
Right.
Well, I don't.
Well,
I don't
they
know.
probably get a stipend.
I
yeah.
won't say if it's
Oh,
too much
just-
bureaucracy because I don't know what they
Dennis
have
points
to do.
out Sonny's no longer part.
Oh, she's no longer on
Oh.
that. I don't know.
Well,
if
it
I'll
might
say,
be better than this year.
I don't know if I'll say that it's too much. I like Sunny. See, she's.
I'm
good
not saying
people.
she's a bad person.
I don't know if it's too much bureaucracy because I'd have to understand the inner workings of how it works. I mean, I would assume that there's a lot to be done there between, people have to book the acts and people have to do maintenance and people. There's a whole bunch of stuff to do. I just don't know.
Boots in the dirt kind of people. The janitor
What are
keeping
you
things
saying?
clean and the people working
volunteers.
concessions and all that. I get that, but you don't need 45 cooks in the kitchen.
Again, I'm just saying I don't know enough about it
What if
to
it's a big
say
kitchen?
it's wrong.
Well, I mean, let's take it
The
to a
fairgrounds are
realistic
huge for one. I mean,
example. I was in the running to be the fair manager for the Stanwood Camino Fair 20 years ago.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't get it though.
I used to love that fair.
And their profit, or what they called their investment money that they needed to make each year, had to be over 100,000. So, and I mean, this is a little community fair,
Yep.
and they charged and
Especially-
everything else, and they
yeah.
didn't have the headlining acts
Yeah,
that
well,
we're talking about.
I sang at that
$100,000
fair
is a
once.
far cry from 29 million.
It was
No,
20
no, no,
years
no,
ago.
no, 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 no. I'm talking 100,000 is what they had to make each
They had to
year.
have a
I'm
profit.
not
Okay.
saying how
Over
much
what
they
they
got from the
spent.
county.
Got it,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, over
They-
what they spent, they had to
They
make
were,
100,000.
yeah,
more.
they were getting money from probably Snohomish County because they give out to different fairs in Snohomish County, and they were getting money from Stanwood Camino tax revenue, stuff like that as
And,
well.
and
Were
there's-
they because they were out of city limits?
Yes, they
well,
were.
were they?
there is a really
But their land was donated, but they gave in-kind donation to repair the land
Oh,
each
alright.
year because of trampling on the land.
Yeah.
And then the parking was supplied by a farmer that you paid to park on their land or whatever.
there's an important point to remember with regards to these fairs
Mhm.
and the booths and the vendors that come to there are huge corporations where
Mhm.
that is their money. That's how they make it. They go
Yep.
from fair to fair
Oh,
to
yeah,
fair.
Oh, yeah.
Cutco
And I will tell you this, because I love the Puyallup Fair. I go every year, usually once or twice at least. And there are a massive amount of vendors at the Puyallup Fair that do not come to the Kitsap County Fair because the fair doesn't attract them because not enough people come through the
Right.
gates.
Yep.
Right.
And so that's problematic because many of the other county fairs do attract them,
Mhm.
right? Because the issue needs to be addressed within Kitsap County. How do you find that middle ground? How do you charge enough to cover your expenses, right? And then how much do you ask for from the county to make it profitable, but at the same time make it affordable enough for these vendors to come in? Because adults like us, like
Mhm.
I don't go to the fair to sit in front of the main stage for 8 hours. I did
Mm-mm.
that while I owned the place in Gorst. The point is that the point is you got to find that happy medium, right? Like
Right.
I go
Right.
there for the vendors, and my kids go there for the animals.
Right.
Right. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. You know, usually the acts that are on stage, you pay attention to them in passing. You know, you might sit down and take a break and listen to an 8-year-old singing on stage, right?
Right.
Which is fun,
Mhm.
but that's not why you go.
Right.
Alex Wisniewski is the director of the Parks Department for Kitsap County, and his annual salary is $149,000 a year.
What do you
Oh.
want me to say? That's
I
not
need
that
a
much
new
money.
job.
$149,000.
I have a $3,500 a month mortgage. That's not that much money.
$150,000 a
Yeah.
year.
I'd
Okay.
do it for half.
So you would the first year.
Nah,
You wouldn't the second.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe even the second or third year. I really would. I mean,
I fell into that trap where my mindset in business was stuck at prices I paid 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I just woke up one day and went, "Oh my God, I'm running my business like it's 2001, you know, and it's 2020."
I don't believe there's
And
anything in this county, any
Mhm.
county job.
Mhm.
I can't think of one county job
Mhm.
in Kitsap County that I would say is worth the salary of $150,000.
Okay, well that's
We're not
Really?
talking.
I'm
not
not-
even like
I'm not-
district court judge or
yeah, and I know Kevin well enough that as soon as I make this sentence, he's gonna go, "Oh, Paul's attacking me." I'm not attacking you,
Go ahead.
but you're not a private sector guy.
yeah.
I don't-
I'm-
that-
I'm
that-
s-
hold
and
on,
then
that
that's-
isn't- that isn't fair.
It means your point of reference
I've
is
been a
different.
private sector guy up until
20 years ago,
13 years ago.
13, okay, 13 years.
Yeah.
So for
I'm gonna-
13 years, you haven't been a private sector
no,
guy.
13 years.
So
I've been
I- and
federal. Yeah.
my point is that your point of reference is different than my point of reference, right? So, you know, Lori goes out and hustles for every freaking contract that she gets. I hate to use the word hustle, but you do work your ass off to get those contracts, don't you?
I have a regular job too.
You
No, I know what you're saying.
Okay.
I have a W-2 job, but I also have side hustles that are contract jobs.
right. Your
doing-
contract jobs is what I'm talking
doing
about.
similar work
Yeah.
for much more
And-
money.
and the point just is
Mm-hmm.
that in the world that we live in today,
Yeah.
okay, $600 a month per household is going to pay the interest on our debt.
Mhm.
We're all paying $737 a month more for the same goods and services we were 2 years ago.
Mhm.
That's $1,300+ that we are all paying extra a month for nothing.
Kevin, was that person the head of the Parks Department
Yes.
for Kitsap? So
And I just want to be clear. I didn't say that there are no jobs in Kitsap County worth that amount. I can't imagine any Kitsap County employees, actual county employees,
Mhm.
doing anything that would warrant $150,000.
I haven't done the math, but if you're a laborer making prevailing wage at $58 an hour, what does that come out to?
58 times 1080 or 2080, right?
Something like that. Yeah, you're
Mhm.
probably better at the math than I am. But my, you know, I mean, $58 an hour, that's $400+ a day.
Mhm.
$500 a day is 10 grand a month. That's 120 grand a year.
Plus the
So-
cost of benefits. and all
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely.
The
So do you
average
see,
annual
but do you
wage.
see my point?
Yeah, I know I do. The
Okay.
average annual wage in Kitsap County is just over 60 grand. That's the average annual wage.
Yeah.
The
That's why nobody can
states-
afford to pay me to
The
paint their house.
state's average annual wage is 73,000. So we are below the state average in Kitsap County. That means that
did you say 60 grand? Sorry.
60,000 is the average wage in Kitsap County.
Mhm.
Okay.
So we're a depressed economic area. We just are. Kitsap County
I would agree.
sucks in a lot of respect a lot of respects to the job market. Okay.
Yeah, the
It
job
does.
market.
Yes.
Yes.
I just can't imagine paying a county employee $150,000. I just can't. I
But
can't.
in the
That's what the
private
private sector is for.
But the private
And-
sector would be 300
Maybe.
for that same
that-
job.
Hold on.
Yes.
We'll go to break. We'll come back. Outlaw Radio.
And I'm just sitting here realizing I'm below average, apparently.
Stay tuned. All right, Outlaw Radio, back on Facebook. Can we check some of the comments in chat before we change the subject?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, hold on.
Yes, Mick, the
Kevin's a
houses cost
socialist.
so much. You know, it's 1,000% true.
I know. I'm
mean,
looking at buying a house and it's so expensive.
Here's a fun fact.
Yeah.
I'm looking at building an ADU, and just
Mhm.
the utility hookups estimates right now at
Wow.
70 grand.
Yeah.
That's before the contractor hooks pipe and electrical.
Yep.
Yes,
to
that's
it.
before you. That's just the right, the privilege to
That's
hook up.
at a place with existing utilities.
Yeah.
Apparently, on the one hand, they're like, we want to have ADUs developed so it creates affordable housing, and on the other hand, they're like, and you're not going to tap into your existing utilities.
Yeah, we're going to
'cause-
price you out of it.
Yeah,
for sure.
So,
for sure.
yeah, I'm just going to do an addition.
Yep. I will tell you that in the city of Bremerton, which was my specialty for a while, which was setting up manufactured homes, which that doesn't happen much in the city of Bremerton, but I think we even talked to Greg Wheeler about this when he was in here. They were charging, you have somebody who's buying a mobile home, they're generally on a fixed income, especially if they're going to put it in the city of Bremerton, in the city limits. And so they're getting $150,000 mobile home and they're charging them $15,000 just to hook up to water. $15,000 to hook up to the city water that, to quote Kevin, all of our freaking taxes are already paying for, right?
And by the way, if you go into Port Orchard, up the hill from where Lori and I live, because we both live in the same part of Port Orchard, they are building a 600 house development, a 300 house development, and another 300 house development.
And a strip mall.
And a strip mall. Okay.
Whoa,
where's that going?
In amongst all those houses.
In amongst all those
I was
houses at the
surprised.
top
I
of
drove through there
at the top
the
of
other
Anderson
day.
Hill, where Anderson
Really?
Hill meets up
Yeah.
with Old Clifton. So listen, I just put this in. That's 1,200 houses at $15,000 a piece to connect to City of Bremerton Water, because that's who the provider is. Okay.
Right. Mhm.
So I want you to consider that. So listen, I'm going to sound like a fucking conservative now.
No, you are a fucking conservative.
we
You just
pull
need to
all-
admit it.
When you pull
Come
all
out of
of
the
that,
closet, Kevin.
when you put all of that bullshit together, right? That's why I get pissed off at them charging you to come into the county fair, because they're literally stealing your money at high amounts every fucking time you turn around. For every service they provide, they more than tripled the rates the last couple of years on the
For
utilities.
sure. 1,000%.
And
$18
they're
million
and
right
they're
there, baby.
and they're responsible. Well, we're just going to keep jacking up the prices because we have to. No, you fucking don't. This isn't a have to, must have bullshit scenario. This is a how do we get our hands on as much of your money as possible so we can spend it wherever the fuck we want to.
Kevin,
And it's us. God damn it,
Kevin.
man.
where do you think that whole sentiment, taxation is theft, came from? Yes, I'm aware taxation is not actually theft. I'm
Thank you.
aware that taxation is a necessity of modern society. But where do you think that sentiment comes from? Your outrage right now.
Yeah.
That is it.
But again, this isn't taxation. This is taxation plus all the fucking fees.
Right.
The fees are theft. I'll tell you that. The fees are fucking theft. Right
Mhm.
now, if they're going to tax us at the rate they're taxing us, then all these namby-pamby, itsy-bitsy nickels and dimes every fucking time we turn around, that's the theft.
You can throw all of that into the same bucket. It's all the same sentiment. It all goes to the same bureaucratic talking heads. It's all the same line of crap. So that's,
I hate all of it. I hate all of it.
That's where the sentiment comes from.
Listen,
So that's
Taxation
the
is
water
theft.
and the sewer, correct? For City of Bremerton, right?
That's just
For-
water.
That's just water for 15.
That's just water.
It's not the
I mean,
sewer?
No,
The
it's
water and
just
sewer
water.
part in Port Orchard was going to be just shy of 20,000.
Yeah.
They put in a meter, and you got to do all your work to put all your piping in.
Everything
Right.
basically
Hook your
from the
meter, hook
street,
your-
right, Phil? They're doing you're responsible to pay for everything from the street to the
Yeah.
hookup point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 18 million for 1,200 homes in that area for just water, not sewer.
But they
Right.
can pay
Now,
for a lot of parks.
At the same time, when they're putting those developments,
Yep.
I would not be surprised if I am wrong. I don't know. I don't know what to wager here. The developers are paying to put all the pipe in the ground, all the electrical in the
Yes.
ground. They pay for all of that and then turn it over to the utilities. So
Yeah.
they're already paying for all
Yeah.
that.
And
so
then they
if
charge you
they're
in the
being
house.
if they're being charged to also have a hookup fee,
Mm-hmm.
wow.
And to the developers, let's be honest. To the developers, this is a zero net gain.
It is because everything gets passed along
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the lenders.
So they will gladly pay whatever the city and county wants them to pay.
Mhm.
Sort of.
Because, well,
Until they decide that we can't do this development because we won't sell the house.
but until it becomes exorbitant. But as a general
15
rule,
seconds.
You mean
as a
it's
general
not
rule,
yet?
they'll just pay whatever they need to pay because they'll get it back on the backside and the homeowners pay for
Well,
it.
they
Outlaw
will.
Radio.
They're pass it along.
.com.
You're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network.
I can't stop this feeling deep inside of me.
Girl, you just don't realize what you do to me. When you hold me in your arms so tight, you let me know everything's all right.
I'm Paul, and I have a koi pond, and I play softball.
I'll kick your
Bunch
ass.
of a-holes.
What kind of feeling?
Well, turn that up.
I'm high on believing that you're in love.
This is why Kevin's single right here.
For sure. I mean,
Anyway.
he can't dance.
You can't grind up on a guy.
No, I can, and I just did.
Once you suck
But the women
schlong,
don't
there's
see
no
that.
going back,
Paul,
brother.
that was not my cell phone in my pocket either, just so you know.
whole time I thought he was just happy to see me.
Oh, he was.
All right. Let's change subject.
And you thought your cell phone was set on buzz, huh?
Right. Well,
That's right.
I was wondered why he was walking with a limp.
People are now throwing around their own personal salaries in the chat. Congratulations, guys. You knock yourselves out. You go for it. All right. All right. So where do we want to go, Paul? Do you want to go to Prigozhin, or do you want to go to the... So we haven't seen the debate. I know a lot of people have talked about the debate. They've watched the debate. We haven't seen it. We're going to watch it tonight.
I will tell you, I was listening to it before the show, on my way in and driving into stuff. And they started the show, the setup, Martha McCallum, Brett Baer from Fox News were hosting. And they set it up by talking about the song right off the bat, Rich Men North of Richmond. And they played the intro to the song, and nobody clearly had listened to it because he used a 4-letter word on national TV during the presidential debate.
Oops,
Yeah,
that's an FCC violation.
totally.
No, because it's cable. Doesn't cable have a different baseline than network TV?
I don't think so. It's television.
Yeah.
And they said the word SHIT on air
More
on the
power.
debate.
More power.
Well, I mean, look, it didn't
And I
bother
believe
me.
this is public access for this debate.
Yeah. Anyway, I was just blown away by the fact that nobody bleeped it out or nothing. I mean, it went out over live TV, and I was just like,
Well,
"Oh dang!"
Maybe they're trying to get edgy.
I said it might be, and I was, but I'm just sitting there
Quality
thinking,
production there.
I'm like, there is a producer right now getting choke slammed against a wall, like, dude.
Or they're in the bathroom on the toilets.
Yeah.
just throwing up.
Are you sure though? Because
100% positive.
I don't know.
It was the line where he says, "Your dollar ain't worth shite."
No, I get it. I'm just talking about language and the FCC. How much longer do you think it is before the FCC just doesn't care?
I would hope they don't care now.
I
honestly,
do.
but they
Power,
do.
man.
They do.
Power.
It is all about power and money. Yeah, for
well,
sure.
I mean, yeah, it's a means of money grab.
For sure,
But-
for sure. I'm going to go home. When I leave here, I'm going to turn the debate on and watch it from scratch.
I am too. Yeah.
I am really fascinated by a couple of people on stage, and I want to see how they do. I want to see how Vivek Ramaswamy does. I want to see how Ron DeSantis does. I want to see how Rick Scott does, and I want to see how Nikki Haley does. Those are the 4 people I'm really interested to see, because the others, we already kind of know what they're like, right? Like Chris Christie says, we got to have somebody as president that has integrity. Okay, bridge boy. I'm just like, I'm like, really?
Well, clear that room.
Yeah, I mean, it's just Chris Christie's the wrong person to be talking about integrity. That's all I'm saying.
Any of those aforementioned names are the wrong people to talk about integrity.
Really?
I don't trust a single sitting
Okay,
politician.
that's well,
Yeah.
Vivek Ramaswamy isn't a politician. He's
Well,
37 years
that's
old, and
true.
he's a
He-
self-made billionaire.
he is one standout in that list.
And you know what's interesting is I watched. There's video out there on YouTube of this dude graduating from high school in 2001, and he gave the commencement speech for his high school.
Well, of course, he
Dude
did.
speaks the exact same way now that he did in high school.
Mhm.
To me, that says one very clear thing:
He's
totally
consistent.
genuine,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he's genuine.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, you get what you get with him.
He did an interview with Sean Hannity. I don't know if you got a
Yes,
chance to watch it. I shared
did.
that over with you. He did an interview with Sean Hannity. I would just encourage anybody that's interested in watching it, whether you're Republican or Democrat or whatever. I didn't agree with everything he said, but his approach to it, his lack of political speak, I'm pretty impressed with the guy.
I think the biggest problem he's going to have is he's made one really big point over and over again, and that's people have asked him, how would you deal with the China-Taiwan issue? And he goes right to the meat of the issue, but I think how he handled it, I think how he chose to, from a policy standpoint, I don't think is a good idea. Because what do we criticize the left for all the time when it comes to military and foreign policy? They telegraph what they're going to do. We're going to pull out of Afghanistan at 7 p.m. on the 19th of July, right? Oh, okay, that's nice because our enemy just sits back and waits, right? Well, so far it's really my biggest criticism of him. He says that when it comes to China, he said we would be there at Taiwan's aid and to their defense until we were superconductor independent, and that he would use the power of the federal government to help businesses in the United States produce semiconductors, because every piece of technology that we use today has semiconductors in it.
And they all come from Taiwan.
They all come from Taiwan.
Yep.
So his point is, he goes, after we're semiconductor independent, all the cards are off the table, right? Taiwan can take care of itself. We're not going to get involved in another. I'm like, ooh, dude, hey, time out. You might want to rethink that policy. Just because I don't think that that's a smart take on that policy.
I don't think we could afford it. I mean, TI chips haven't been made in Texas for a long time.
Oh, for sure. And that was his point, right? He said, from the government's position, he would use that pulpit to incentivize Americans to start producing the semiconductors. Now, I don't know how possible that is, but that's his position.
I would say, how about if we incentivize American businesses bringing production of everything back to America?
Preach.
Yes.
The reality,
1,000%.
Being in the global economy, though, we can't afford it.
So I think
not true. Not true.
I
don't think
yeah,
so.
I disagree with that, Phil.
NAFTA in the 80s.
The North American Free Trade Agreement, for those that forget.
That's what hosed everything.
Don't want to confuse that with NAMBLA.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, for sure.
Like, what?
So NAFTA, bringing up NAFTA is a really good point. I think a lot of people forget about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Trump tried to redo something that was like NAFTA that wouldn't have put us at a disadvantage. When Clinton instituted NAFTA, we automatically, as the United States, became the disadvantaged party.
Mm-hmm.
And so that created an unfair playing field between us and Canada and Mexico, which is why so many automotive manufacturers went to Mexico, right? Cheaper labor. NAFTA allowed them to do that. Whereas Trump turned around and said, well, now, if you're going to do this, if you're Ford and you're going to keep your plant in Mexico, I'm going to tariff the hell out of you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make you pay to bring your vehicles back in here to the United States. And look, it's boring as hell. I get it. But the economics behind it still to me is very fascinating because I'm an Ayn Rand laissez-faire capitalist.
But that's real politics. Real politics are boring.
Yes,
I agree. Nothing to do with gender identity or any of that
or
nonsense.
Celebrity at the Met Gala.
That's not politics.
I will say this in regards to the information out of the Republican debate, and again, we're not going to give any analysis because we haven't seen it. But I will tell you that everything I'm reading is that Vivek had a pretty good showing of himself tonight. That he and DeSantis and Nikki Haley were kind of at the front of everything tonight. And Tim Scott did not do great. That's some of the analysis that I'm reading, that Tim Scott didn't do great.
He didn't look like he was doing good. When I first saw it, like everybody, when they had their names called, was waving to the crowd, and he just stood there stone-faced. I'm like, dude,
he seems,
liven up.
In some ways, he seems very milquetoast.
I would not call a black guy milquetoast,
no,
dude.
You know what I mean. Right. You know what I mean.
He's more engaged on the campaign trail.
Very blasé in these kind of environments. He just doesn't seem to garner a lot of excitement.
He's too nice.
I'm going to make a prediction again, just off of what I've read. I haven't seen it yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if you saw Vivek make a pretty major jump in the polls tomorrow. Whether that sustains or not is a whole different question. But just everything I'm reading is that he probably helped his profile. It would be interesting to see if his numbers get a good bump. When they do the day after.
It will be. Did you guys see?
Why are you smiling at us like that?
Because the one person that wasn't on stage is the one who won the debate.
You think Trump?
Yeah.
Everything I'm reading is that they think he lost, but they hate Trump. So
right. But I mean, I'm not a Trumper. I'm just saying that he has. Oh gosh, no! I didn't have a Trump sign in my yard.
What are you? That was him.
I know. That's why I said it.
Yeah.
I don't believe you. Thou doth protesteth too much.
No, not really.
I think it'll be interesting to see. I think Trump's making a major mistake.
Yes,
for the people by not being part of these debates. But maybe he is because he certainly can't. He can't screw up by not being there.
Right.
But if he was there, he'd have been attacked and having to answer questions about all the indictments, right?
Mhm.
And
he can't.
Nope, he can't get around that comment. He
No.
can't even really say too much. So,
Right.
so it would have been definitely I think had a negative effect for him. But the people are owed it.
Well,
Yeah.
let's be, I'm glad he wasn't there.
For a reason, yeah, he didn't take the air out of the room.
Well, but kind of. I think we know as a general rule what we get with Trump. You know what I mean? We know we have a general. Now, obviously, some of this stuff they're going to ask questions. Maybe he might give us something new. But I think this was a great opportunity to figure out of the whoever isn't Trump.
Right.
To figure out who the isn't Trump guy is going to be.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean,
Right.
Trump is still going to be a force. He's still going to be dealt with. He's still going to be a problem in the Republican primaries for all those guys. But this gave us an opportunity to not be distracted by the elephant in the room and to figure out all these other candidates that are running and to see some separation.
Agreed.
Listen, I would be surprised if a guy like Asa Hutchinson or the governor of North Dakota who got hurt in a pickup basketball game today and got hurt and Bergman. I'd be surprised if we get much out of those guys, but it allows some division and some separation to come. We can maybe Tim Scott's fallen back out of this now if he didn't do well,
right?
But we can see who the front leaders are in the Republican Party if it's not going to be Trump.
I have to correct myself. Ramaswamy was born in 1985. He's 38, not 37. So, and he did graduate in 2007. So when I saw the number, I thought it was, I wear bifocals. So it didn't say 2001, it said 2007.
There you go.
I graduated from high school?
No, sorry. St. Xavier High School in 2003.
Oh, okay.
And he
Got
graduated from Yale Law School in 2007, Harvard in 2013, and also went to, Yale. It says Yale Law School 2013, Harvard University 2007, St. Xavier High School 2003.
Smart dude. I don't know. I'm intrigued by him. I mean, if the election was held, the Republican primary showed up at my doorstep and said, who are you going to vote for? At a very introductory level. If I had to pick somebody now on the Republican Party, it'd probably be Vivek, but I'm glad I got a lot of time because I'm not married to that idea. I got to do some research. I'll tell you right now who I'm not voting for.
Who?
Pancake Joe, or Vice President Whiteclaw,
or Trump,
or Newsom.
Here's the issue, right?
Or DeSantis.
The issue for me always comes down to, okay, if I'm voting in the Republican primary,
okay,
right now I would vote for Vivek. But again, we're way early for me to make that, right? Like this is not an endorsement or anything. This is just if I had to do it today. If we had a presidential election, I'm pretty much going to vote for anybody but Biden at this point. Like I feel like with Biden now, like I felt about Trump 4 years ago, where I was just done with Trump, right? I'm that way with Biden. And so, barring, I can't even think of a Republican I hate so bad that I think they would be a worse choice than Biden at this point. I mean, I guess if it was Biden against Herman Cain, I'd have to vote for Biden because at least Biden's still alive, barely.
Whoa.
You know what I mean? I mean, that would probably be the defining, the
qualifier.
The qualifier. Well, Biden's alive.
Can you fog a mirror?
But other than that, I can't, man, I cannot envision a scenario where I vote for Biden at all. I cannot envision a candidate mainstream enough to be selected by the Republican Party that I wouldn't vote for. I'd vote for Trump before Biden. I'd vote for DeSantis before. And I think DeSantis is a dip.
There's one thing he did that you don't like. You didn't like how he handled the masks in the school district.
Well, there was that. And then there was a thing that came up a week and a half ago where his campaign used AI generated images of Trump and faked an AI Trump voice in their ads.
Was it his campaign or the super PAC?
It was his super PAC though.
Okay.
He doesn't control. He can't control it.
Again, I'm
not defending him. I agree with you on
listen,
this.
When stuff happens, it rolls downhill. DeSantis has to be held accountable for it. He didn't come out and denounce it. He was really quiet afterwards. He tried to act like it didn't happen. What he should have done was stood up front and said, I'm not taking your money. I don't want anything to do with you guys. You're dishonest. Change your leadership and we'll talk.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I would have expected from a leader. Right. And DeSantis didn't do that. He just pretended like it never happened. So I think he's a tool. I think he's mismanaged his candidacy since he launched. He should be closer to Trump in the polls, and his entire candidacy's gone rudderless. It's his fault that Vivek is gaining traction. Because if DeSantis had been everything they said DeSantis was supposed to be, a guy like Vivek wouldn't even be able to get a foothold. DeSantis would be running away with it. It'd be DeSantis
Yeah,
and
but
Trump.
Vivek is dynamic, and DeSantis isn't. He has to be over-prepared to do anything.
Yeah, that almost doesn't seem fair to Ramaswamy. I mean, he's
that's a good point.
He's got plenty of merit to stand on. So I mean, it just doesn't seem fair to say this guy is the only reason anyone sees him.
Is it because he's Indian?
No,
real Indian.
No, although listen, I'm gonna punch you. I'm gonna punch you, and then I'm gonna go spend my casino winnings. You little bastard.
There's a difference between Indian. You've got push start and pull start.
That's
ouch.
Anyway, you have headdress and red dot. Listen,
like I said, push start and pull start.
It is here.
Casino Indian or mini mart Indian? Yeah.
Oh,
here's the deal.
You're racist.
Thank you for coming. Have a good day. Here's the deal. Here's the deal.
We have squishies.
Here's the deal. I'm not discounting Vivek by that comment, Tom. But in order for anybody to get room, someone has to give them room, right? Usually you have to create a void for someone else to fill, for someone to step into that gap, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of that depends on how the media is behaving.
I don't think the media controls a lot on the Republican nomination because the media hates all Republicans anyway. Well, I think if DeSantis,
not the right spun media,
right.
I mean, there's plenty of that.
I think if DeSantis had came out and been dynamic and been compelling and really spoke to people like Vivek does, if he'd came out and just kind of pulled people in, I don't think Vivek would have gotten as much of a foothold because people would have fallen in love with DeSantis. Instead, DeSantis has come out and been kind of cardboard and been really undynamic and really uninviting.
I will tell you, has been, poke at Trump.
When Vivek's numbers started going up was after because his numbers were kind of around 8-9%, and he took a major jump after he did an interview, actually 2 of them in a very short time span. He interviewed with Tucker Carlson second, but before Tucker Carlson, he was on with Charlemagne.
Yeah, the God.
And those 2 interviews propelled him. And really gave him a springboard into this debate. And the debate he did with Charlemagne the God, the conversation he had with Charlemagne the God was expected until this lady that's on Charlemagne's show came on with a very woke, racist attitude and tried to pigeonhole him.
She's painful.
And she was. And it was... He handled himself with dignity and class. He was the anti-Trump as far as how he conducted himself. I mean, he could have hit her right back. And
I'd pay money to see her trying to interview Trump. Well, I would pay money.
But anyway, he handled himself so well, and it did him some serious justice. And then when he went on with Tucker on Twitter, X. Yeah, Tucker was engaged with him, and Tucker has the respect of a lot of people on the right. And to see, you can tell by Tucker's facial expressions, his thought process about and what he thinks about the person he's interviewing. And Tucker's face was contorted in a way where Tucker was paying attention and listening to every word that came out of his mouth. It said everything without saying anything. So, and it did. His numbers just shot up after those 2 interviews. So I will be interested to see how he did tonight.
So do you think Vivek is Trump light?
That's a really good question. I don't know the answer to that. I think, this is my opinion, and I hate to say this, my gut instinct tells me that Vivek is positioning himself for, if he doesn't win, for some sort of cabinet style position.
VP or,
yeah.
Is he closer to Trump light, or is he closer to, and again, please don't go off the rails with this, is he closer to the Republican equivalent of Pete Buttigieg? Meaning
I don't know how you mean.
Meaning a younger
lost.
candidate,
Mhm.
no federal experience at all. Obviously, Buttigieg had some mayor stuff, but really no resume to run on. But really compelling, motivates
I
people
see.
really well, and works himself into a cabinet position. Is he?
I see.
Is
Could
he
be.
kind of a Republican
He
Pete
could be.
Buttigieg?
He could be.
Yeah.
I the difference is that I don't think Pete Buttigieg. Remember, Pete Buttigieg had a lot of negative press towards him
Right.
when he was mayor of
Mhm.
that town, accusations of racism and all kinds and mismanagement within the city. Vivek's run a multi-billion-dollar business that he's built from scratch by
Right.
himself. So
Yeah.
I and that's up for each person to decide, right? To some people, they're going to be like, yeah, I don't want that kind of experience. I want political experience. I want management experience.
Mhm.
Well, he certainly has the management experience.
Right.
It wasn't that same lady was interviewing Vivek, and it was like, but what have you done to serve?
Totally. Yeah. She
Yeah.
was absolutely, she was really hung up on this. You haven't really served anybody. You're asking other people to serve, but you haven't served. And he's like, I've employed thousands of people.
Yeah, I will say Republicans generally have shown me that they don't. This isn't a knock, just from experience.
Sure.
That right now they don't care about government experience, right? I mean, they elected Trump and really backed
Agreed.
Trump for a
that's
second term.
That's an astute.
And so they clearly at this point prefer somebody who's a little more of an outsider rather than somebody who's more of an insider.
And I think
which helps Vivek.
Yeah, to your point, I think from a Republican standpoint, because Republicans generally believe in different forms of capitalism, right? We believe, and I'm not a Republican. I say we because I identify with Republicans. I just don't make you call me one.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's important to recognize that if you believe in the good of capitalism, that to have somebody that has that kind of mass management experience under their belt running billion-dollar companies, I mean, what is the president of the United States if he isn't a manager?
Correct.
Yeah.
I think starting with
Joe Biden's more like a Walmart greeter.
Oh
well, Joe Biden has made a political career out of stealing everything that he says. He's
sorry, Tom.
It's okay.
Facts.
Oh, it's after break is fine.
Okay,
I mean,
okay.
it was nothing important. It was,
I will tell you during the bottom of the hour break, I'll tell you guys about an article I read today that'll make Paul cringe. So, and then we'll come back to this when we come back on AM. Stick around. It's Outlaw Radio on Mega Talk.
The guy who killed.
Why are you talking? The mics are on.
Oh, shut up.
Outlaw Radio. Outlaw Radio. We're talking about going to Puyallup. I don't know if anybody, I don't know why anybody goes to Puyallup except for the fair. Puyallup is one of those towns I stay away from. That in South Tacoma. Nope.
The only time I spend any time in Puyallup is because I'm stuck in traffic.
Yeah, I'll go to the fair.
That's fair, and that happens a lot over there, man.
That's not fair.
Yeah.
Dude, you got to avoid 161 Meridian in Puyallup.
Yeah.
If
Puyallup
you
does
need
have-
me
Is
to
that-
text you through
is
the
that-
back roads, I will, because
That's
the main
like
drag.
the main drag through
Yeah.
Puyallup where all the car dealerships are at, right?
Yeah,
Try that in a small
everything.
town.
Yeah.
I was
Is that
saying,
like to call
there
it-
are the car dealerships in Puyallup. You
Is
can
that
go
like
for
to call it the Puyallup? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? To me, the Puyallup Fair is a really good time to take the kids and just go. You know, you're going to spend money, but it's just, there's so much to see.
You mean the Washington State Fair?
No, it's the Puyallup Fair, Philip. Are we on Facebook?
Yeah.
Fuck everybody that wants to call it something else. It's the Puyallup Fair.
Do the Puyallup. Do the Puyallup.
I wish fishing was this
such a
easy
potty
because,
mouth.
man, I hooked him, just reeled him right in. It was
Man, I
great.
hate that. I absolutely hate that. Just leave it. It's the
Hey,
Puyallup Fair.
Phil, you put together a new gun and they're really easy to pull the trigger, you know, because that's all you've been doing with Kevin is triggering him, man.
You just have to look at the trigger.
I'm easily triggered tonight. I'm on edge. Don't push me because I'm
Is it a full
close
moon?
to the
Sexual.
be a
He
full
needs
moon.
to get laid.
Well,
I'm
he was
trying
rubbing
not
up
to
against you.
Lose my head.
Oh,
Anyway,
God.
Probably want me to do that again?
Don't even. Nope.
Nope.
Hey, I read an article today that talked about Obama's third term has been a total disaster. I'm like, third term? And I'm like, oh, they're talking about Biden. That's good. Yeah.
Oh, it's not a full moon. Huh.
When we come back from break, we'll talk about the story today about the ballots. So that's
I do want to
that's a
touch on
really-
Prigozhin as well in this half hour.
We
too.
can-
we'll do ballots
yeah.
first, but
We can do them. We can do them. We'll do more than Grigoni.
Russia.
Gerbozen, Probozen,
Russia.
I get it. Took me
Good.
a second.
Oh my God, you got a Brady Bunch reference?
Yeah.
I wonder how many people in our chat room know Brady Bunch. That's a good question.
They gave I wonder if how many people, I think, but everybody knows the answer to this. They were giving some trivia questions on Fox News before the debate started.
Mhm.
And one of the Fox News questions was, Laverne and Shirley was a spin-off series of what popular TV show?
Happy Days.
Happy Days.
Everybody knew it. Yeah. It's just funny because
Hey.
I'm like, yeah, I know the answer to this one. And like everybody was like,
There was another spin-off from Happy Days. Do you know what that was?
Joni Loves Chachi.
Yep.
Yeah, and another one.
What?
Hold on.
Didn't Arthur have one?
We'll figure this out
Hold on.
when we're back on the radio.
Outlaw
10
Radio.
seconds.
Back after this.
Wait.
Oh, Uck!
What?
Outlaw Radio. Thanks for checking out the show. I believe Tom was asking us what shows were spin-offs from Happy Days on the Facebook side during the commercial break. I believe Mork and Mindy was one.
Oh,
Yeah.
Kevin Nelson agrees.
Yeah, no, Kevin. Yeah,
Wow.
I knew I had someone that was
Okay.
going to back me up.
I
on
stand
that.
corrected. I thought Mork and Mindy was before.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it was
because
it
Mork,
was a
Mork
spin-off,
came
yeah.
back and was in the what was the restaurant called?
So it was the spin-off was after the
like
highly
Peach Pit or something.
it was the highly successful episode of Happy Days called My Favorite Orkin, starring Robin Williams as Mork, an extraterrestrial who comes to Earth from the planet Ork, and Pam Dauber as Mindy McConnell, his human friend, roommate, and eventual love interest, for those that don't
What
know.
was the name of the restaurant in Happy Days?
Arnold's.
Arnold's.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right? Dennis Arnold's?
And wasn't the original owner of Arnold in Happy Days? He was the first
There was a big
Karate Kid. Yeah.
Well, or wasn't he the second? I thought he was the second.
The
Oh,
first
he
guy
was?
was a
the big fat Italian guy.
Big fat Italian guy.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dennis, that is the most racist imitation I've ever seen in my life out of you.
Go look back at his.
It was pretty close to the dude on the show,
I
though.
know,
I
but it
mean, he
was-
had the look down just right.
I know. I'm not even going
It
to.
wasn't really racist. It was just good, like copying. Yeah, copycat.
Is it kind of like quoting Blazing Saddles? You're like, no, you can't do that. It's racist. Let's just quoting.
I for those that don't know, if you go to my Facebook page, I did. You know how when we were all kids, we used to play the game like, if I was in Star Wars, I'd be Chewbacca, right? And so we all grew up playing those games. So years ago, I made a couple of promo videos for the show,
Mm-hmm.
and one of them that we did was of that show. Took the characters from Blazing Saddles and then had each one of us. And so Kevin was the big dude that rode the ox into town. That was who Kevin was. And then he punches the ox and the ox falls down and stuff like that. So that was Kevin's big intro.
Mongo.
Candygram.
Mongo, that's it.
Mongo, yeah.
I had to get the name right.
Candy.
Yeah. Oh, it was great too. I had a lot of fun with Trojo. He was the sheriff, of course. And
Wait, a black sheriff?
yeah.
He worked in Blazing Saddles.
Yeah. So anyway, okay. So this interesting story. And 2 weeks ago, we talked about.
Hold on, we got to fix this. Pat Morita was Arnold.
Mm-hmm.
He was first.
Oh, I
on
was
the
right.
show.
Well, okay.
And then Al was second.
Okay.
Okay, go
We
ahead.
And then
backwards.
Pat Morita was the trainer in the
I had to
Karate
look it
Kid.
up.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yes.
I'd look
Yep.
it up. Thank you, Kevin
Thank
Nelson.
you, Kevin.
So
Kevin Nelson, our Happy Days aficionado. Go
a
ahead.
couple of weeks ago, loved Happy Days too. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about the nonprofit Democratic organization that had been found with tens of thousands of fake and duplicate voter registrations, along with guns and silencers and cash and all kinds of other stuff.
That was all in Michigan.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that is still, by the way, under investigation. I did call and verify the legitimacy of the police report. They obviously couldn't give me any more, told me I had to file a FOIA request. Well, we already had the information from the FOIA request, so it was pointless, but they did verify that it was true. So we know that that's at least the report that came in that we talked about was true and accurate. Well, today, breaking news, thousands of, quote, duplicate ballots have been found in Fulton County, Georgia.
What?
From
Say
the
it again.
2020 presidential election through a lawsuit against Dominion voting.
What?
Hold it now.
Wait. What's the drinking game where?
Say that again. Read that again, Paul.
Thousands of duplicate ballots have been found in Fulton County, Georgia, You remember the whole ladies with there's a water leak, everybody go home, and then they stayed and kept counting ballots? That's Fulton County.
There's a snake in my boot.
Right. So
isn't that
thousands-
also the same county that's pulling
Yes.
indictments against Trump?
Trump?
Yes.
Yeah.
So thousands of duplicate
Oh.
ballots have been found in Fulton County, Georgia, from the 2020 presidential election through a lawsuit against Dominion Voting.
Drinking game, anyone? Drinking game?
Quit interrupting. I want to hear this.
No, that's it. That's just
That's it, okay.
that's what I had. That's what I had. So
Every time we say a state about voting, take a drink.
and here's what amazes me about this story, Paul, is that there are still so many people in this country that are like, all this election stuff is fake news. All this, there's nothing to see here. There's no problems. This is all just Trump trying to circumvent the election. And maybe it is. Maybe he is trying to circumvent stuff. But so let's take Trump out of the equation.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean this is not a valid conversation to have. And if you have the valid conversation, you are treated like an idiot, and a MAGA nut, and you're completely like discounted for having what I think are really valid questions about the security of the elections.
Here's a little bit of additional information. Falsified audit tally sheets and counted duplicate ballots and redacted evidence in order to cover up the criminal. And then I don't know what the next word is. It says 40,000 line items that compares numbers from the election to the reinstallation of Robert L. Peters at 59.5% error rate. And then it says, let that sink in. So there's a report here, but I don't know what the report is. The video here, which I'm going to have to go back and watch so that I can get a little bit more information about it. Duplicate ballot matches scanned multiple times. And that's what we see in the video of those women in the stadium when they send home all of the other workers. The four of them stay. They're counting the same ballots over and over again. So the information has been there. The truth has been there. Nobody would take these cases. Nobody, and this is what I've been saying for 2 years. Everybody that should have adjudicated those questions refused to even talk about them and labeled everybody that brought them up as a conspiracy theorist or the big lie. Lori?
So, devil's advocate here.
Yes.
Is the news coming out because Trump's team is checking into stuff because they've been indicted? Do you think that they're stirring the pot or they're getting the stuff ready because they want to go to court? He wants to talk. He wants to bring this to the forefront. Do you think that?
It could be.
I'm just curious. Your thoughts
but what
on
this
that.
is saying, and this is very. I haven't had a chance to really dig into it and vet it because it came up just before I came. But what it's saying is this has come to light through a lawsuit against Dominion voting systems, and apparently this has to do with Fani Willis, the prosecuting attorney there, that she benefited from this double counting of ballots.
Oh,
So
well, that's interesting because
very
isn't
much so.
she the lead prosecutor against Trump?
It is. It says, we see Fani Willis may have benefited from the duplicate ballots uncovered in Fulton County, Georgia. Some ballots were double marked. Entire tally sheets even went 100% for Joe Biden. So
sounds like a closed circuit.
Again, we asked this question shortly after the election. Why isn't anybody adjudicating this? It's simple. Go and follow up and look at everything that was touched by those people and interview everybody that was involved. And it was as simple as the election. There was nothing bad about the election. And damn all of you who are asking, it was the safest election
and
ever.
It's COVID, so you can't.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I called King County. I called several counties. I talked to the Secretary of State's office, which Kim Wyman was Secretary of State. And everybody was shifting blame on everybody else. King County is the worst offender. They admitted on the phone to me that they have not done the death rolls and taken people off of the voting
That
rolls.
alone,
Yeah.
you could literally have thousands of people, their ballots being forged.
Well, think about governor's races all these years.
Yes.
If they have not been cleaning up, that's
voter
what,
rolls.
another 10, 15,000 each voting cycle?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And it look, for me, I've never been shy about this. The big eye-opening experience for that whole thing was when I went to remove my dad's name after he passed. And they asked for nothing.
Yeah.
They were just like, okay, what's his name? You want to see his death certificate? No.
Yeah.
Well, it's not very secure,
Right.
right? It's just not. It should be the most secure thing with regards to our civic duty in this country. If we don't have faith in our voting system, what's going to be the result? It's going to be blood in the freaking streets, man. People are only going, and I'm not saying that to be trite, right? But people are getting more and more pissed off. People like Tom are talking about, taxation being theft. They're only going to deal with it for so long. People can only be pushed so far before they push back.
But do you think it's just generational? Do you think it's our generation?
That's a good question.
Do you think the generation older than us? What about the generation younger than us? I mean, I can speak not definitively for each generation, but just the adult children that I have. Gen Z doesn't care.
I agree.
Neither do most of the millennials. They don't care. I have to go this way because someone in authority said go that way.
Yep.
That's it.
And someone in authority told me that in 12 years when I was 18 that I'd be dead, and that child or those children are now 27 and going, well, we've got 3 years left. Who cares?
Yeah.
Which is sad. But I mean, that's what they've been trained with all the education.
I am you guys hear me. I talk about it all the time. And Kevin rightfully busts my balls about it because it's not true I'm hard on on the Gen Z and millennials.
I am because too. I live with them.
because I truly believe that they are way over entitled and too used to their instant gratification, right? Yeah. And I say that because our generation grew up with nothing electronic, and we've grown older with being able to use the electronic stuff. So we've seen the benefits, but we've also seen the downside, right? Like to me, there's nothing more telling than walking down the street in any town and looking at how many people's faces are buried in their phones while they're walking down the street.
Correct. Yes.
And you're just like, dude, you want to look across the road, or you're just going to walk?
Yeah.
Right. And it's all the time. It's every day. And it's the same two generations. It really is. God knows what this next generation, like my younger kids, the 12 and 13 ones that are just becoming teenagers are going to be like. That scares the hell out of me. But these two to me are the epitome. How does the old saying go where it talks about hard times make hard men make easy times? And I don't remember the whole saying.
And easy times make what is it?
I don't know, balls. But basically it gets around to the point that, we didn't have hard times as Gen X. Times weren't hard for us, but not compared to our parents, right? And our grandparents.
Our parents had it easy.
Yeah,
that was the land of 2.5 kids and the white picket fence.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah, the boomers had a piece of cake.
It's the generation before them.
Yeah. Now the golden generation, the ones that fought in World War II.
Yep.
The ones who went through the Depression.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's when the ships were wood and the men were steel.
Yeah.
Right. I mean that's
and the chuck wagons were real.
Yeah. So
my grandma worked on one.
So now we're in a position where, the one thing I blame us for the Gen Xers for is we gave, it's our kids that kind of started this downward trend. Where they started, everything was about electronics, everything was about video games, and I do a little bit blame us for that, because a lot of us, our generation really started with the broken homes, right?
Well,
the latchkey kids and all that stuff.
That's where I was going. It's like
women getting the right to vote. Yeah.
What did we know as kids? Right. I mean, we knew self-sufficiency and all that.
We were self-sufficient.
Right. And it was like, okay, get home from school, do your homework, watch some TV. I mean, you're on your own.
Yes.
We did that to our kids.
Yep.
It's like, oh, you're home from school. There's your laptop. Go play a game.
Yeah.
I got work to do.
We had video game systems and computers be the babysitters.
Right, because our babysitters were, the street lights and television.
Yep.
Yeah, the street lights.
Yep.
Yeah. Come home when the street lights turn on.
I didn't allow my kids to do that.
Oh, I did that.
Yeah, you were a rarity. I was allowed to stay outside until the sun went down. Sometimes even a little bit later, because I lived in the suburbs.
Yeah,
right?
I was allowed until the street light came on.
Yeah. And nowadays you live in the suburbs, man, you're a bad parent if your kid's outside that much.
Mm-hmm.
You're a bad parent. If your kid's a latchkey kid, you're a bad parent.
Yeah.
If you spank your kid, you better not leave a mark.
Yep. Use a phone book.
When was the last time you saw a phone book?
Hey, I
You know?
used to deliver those.
So is that when you hit him with the iPad?
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, it's,
My phone book's right here.
my brother's dealing with this stuff with his son, and even the cop told me, he goes, hey man, your dad can whoop your butt. Turns to dad, but if you leave a mark and he picks up the phone, you're going to jail.
Yep.
Right? Well, for God's sakes, what kind of message are you sending there? That's like Joe Biden talking about Afghanistan, for God's sakes, man. You're just going to sit back and wait for it to happen. I'm just going to piss you off, Dad. I'm going to piss you off. Leaves one little mark. One little mark.
Creative
Is that-
discipline.
Is that where the cop then looks back over the sun? And just remember, it'll take us about 5 minutes to get here.
Yeah, I wish.
Now,
I wish.
Now, does a red handprint constitute a mark?
Well, hopefully
Yes,
the
it
handprint
does.
goes away quickly because, yeah, a welt.
A
No,
welt.
not
Or
a
discoloration.
Welt, not a welt.
Discoloration.
A red How can you smack a butt without leaving a red handprint?
Well, there you've just touched on the ultimate problem, how haven't you?
Creative discipline.
I mean, hell, F-bomb doesn't complain when they leave. Never mind.
I think that's a whole different
What you
reason
do
there,
in your
Tom.
room is not
Whole
on the
different
radio.
reason.
Like I said, that's a whole. Never mind.
Hey, F-bomb, guess who's bringing home batteries?
She's probably thinking, thank God, it'll be the first time I've been satisfied in a while.
Oh,
Wow,
Hold
I'm
on.
the Energizer Bunny. Thank you.
Let me step back
Are ya?
away from that one. I could just picture Tom, little Energizer.
anyways, moving
Jing,
back
jing,
to
jing, 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 jing.
discipline. Oh, my
Lori's
God.
blushing.
This is horrible.
Yeah. Bad radio, Kevin.
This is quality
I know.
radio here.
Horrible radio. I'm a bad host. Whatever. Shut up.
So Yevgeny Prigozhin,
Yeah, so I think this is an interesting story, right? Because
unless you're Yevgeny.
well,
Yeah.
listen,
Or his family.
we had talked before about Prigozhin a couple times, right? First, when they had the Wagner group threatening
Yeah.
to march all the way to Moscow,
and then they got halfway, and suddenly it was all cool.
and then it was all cool, and then you heard that he'd gone to Belarus, but nobody had seen him.
Yep.
And then there was rumblings out of there that Putin was assigning him to another duty somewhere else, and all of that, right? So then it made you think, well, maybe they buried the hatchet, and Prigozhin.
Yeah, Putin and the
Prigozhin.
That
had-
was the impression I think that
Yeah.
they tried to give.
that
Yeah.
Prigozhin had a lot of power with his
Yep.
guys. He had a lot of support, and so maybe it made sense for Putin to
Use him in a different way.
Use
or
him in a
something.
different way. And
Hunter brought up an interesting point. This is something they were talking about
Hunter
down at
Biden
Fort
or
Hood.
your son
No,
Hunter?
my son. No,
Just
the
checking.
the
Just
quality
checking.
Hunter.
Want to be sure.
I feel bad for you, Paul.
Right.
That's hard.
Yes, the one that still has functioning brain cells.
Right? Yeah. Hunter pointed out to me, he called me, he said a lot of guys down on Fort Hood felt that the whole thing with Yevgeny Prigozhin and the pushback that they gave where they were going to march on Moscow and all that was all a ruse. It was all a red flag. It was all fake.
I had heard it was a false flag thing too,
so
just to pull Ukraine into maybe making a counteroffensive too early.
Well, and that certainly could have been it. That would not surprise me. But their point is that they moved all of Wagner into Belarus.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And in doing so, now Wagner's been seen close to the border. And in point of fact, they are now Wagner soldiers have been identified in Poland recruiting. And so with that in mind, it was, Yevgeny Prigozhin had gone to Africa, did a little video just over this last week. And then all of a sudden he's coming back to Russia and was on the manifest list as a passenger in a plane that went down. Now they start saying that he's dead. So there's either he is or he isn't. If he was,
true.
it's because probably because Putin had him killed.
Right.
Because it was never a red flag. Putin just was buying time to take him out. Now, so, I mean, it's really, to me, it's only two options. Or he isn't dead.
Gulag.
And, well, I was going to say, or he isn't dead. And this is being used to continue the ruse so he can keep planning, and he may be in Belarus and Wagner. This is why Hunter's unit, who's deploying with the 101st to Poland, have been told from the moment they get there, they are in a war footing from the moment they land in Poland.
Yep.
They are to consider themselves as an active war zone from the moment they step off the plane, because they have caught Wagner soldiers in Poland recruiting. Now, recruiting for what? Right?
World War III.
The presumption is, right? I mean, you got to think about this. If you're China and you're assisting Russia, how does your timeline look? You want to take Taiwan more than anything, okay? If you think there's any chance that Joe Biden, the guy that took millions of dollars from you, is going to, how he's going to play that, right? We know that in the neighborhood of 8,000% more Chinese nationals have crossed the southern border. I know this is conspiracy theory stuff, but there's fact behind it. Thousands of Chinese citizens, military-age men, have crossed the border, the southern border, and come into the United States. We've found freaking in this country Chinese plants where they're they're making God knows what,
and the
And
biological,
police stations.
the
Right.
police stations, the biological, laboratories.
And am I the only one that feels like, there were a lot of red flags before Japan attacked Pearl Harbor?
Yeah. What?
And I know it makes me a conspiracy theorist, but man, my gut's telling me that those red flags are popping up. People have got to be putting them together, because if you're Putin, you set it up right. You've got Wagner, and don't forget, St. Petersburg is to the north of Poland. You've got a dual access. You've got the Belarusian army, which are effectively your puppets, and Wagner Group, who are hardened combat veterans. You can say what you want about their capabilities. You've got a stalemate in Ukraine.
Yep.
That's going to stay right where it's at. Right? Ask yourselves why military theorists keep talking about how perplexed they are by the fact that Russia has not used its grade A top of the line aircraft to take on to get air superiority in Ukraine ever at any point in time. They are holding stuff back for something.
Honestly, I don't think they want their good toys blown up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Well, so they can't get a toehold with all the Western help that Ukraine's getting.
Correct. And what have they done to the Western nations, by the way? You want me to tell you?
They who?
The Russians. Who's been supplying Ukraine and has fought themselves to a standstill? The Western countries and NATO have been supplying Ukraine with all of this weapons and more importantly, ammunition.
Right.
Now, the most recent numbers that I heard last week were that it was going to take us upwards of 3 years to resupply our weapons caches.
Mhm.
In other words, they're draining us dry.
We're running low. Yeah.
Yeah, on purpose.
It is a well-known long-term military strategy in the long game.
There's another side to that, though. Russia's down, by the last counts I heard, some 30,000 troops.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Russia, I've talked about this before. Russia's already seen a baby bust. They don't have that many military-aged men to go fight. So.
They have over 1 million soldiers in their army. They've never committed more than 200,000 to this conflict in Ukraine. That leaves 800,000.
Yeah. Yeah, on paper.
On paper.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that.
I don't think they've got 800,000 able-bodied, ready to get into the trenches fighting men. They just,
I don't disagree with that. The point is we don't know.
No, we don't.
Right? And the Belarus army, they're a couple 100,000 too.
Hold on, but I think we do kind of know, right? Like, do you think that Putin would continue to lose? So for a while, it was a stalemate. Right?
I think it's a stalemate now.
The Ukrainians have taken some territory back, though.
Just a little bit.
Right, a little bit.
Yeah.
But do you think Putin would allow them to take territory back if he had aces up his sleeve? If he had some more troops, he could commit to that. I don't mean like full scale everybody, but if he had a few more things to throw into that, you don't think he would?
A tactical withdrawal or a feint. That's my personal belief.
Well,
your tinfoil hat is tiny.
Yep, but it's on. Go ahead, Tom. Go ahead.
Oh, I just, so I mean the other thing, when we talk about Prigozhin, is Prigozhin alive? Is Prigozhin dead?
Yeah, he's one or the other.
Right.
There's no in between.
But I mean, if he crossed Putin for real, right? So if it wasn't a false flag thing, don't Putin's adversaries, his political adversaries, usually die or disappear much sooner than what this has been?
For sure.
I mean, that was June 24th when Prigozhin turned on Moscow.
Yeah.
That was a while ago.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I think that it has to be taken with some degree of seriousness. The idea that Prigozhin may still be alive,
yeah,
and that this may be used as something to draw the Western nations off the scent. The Prigozhin's now going to be snuck back into Belarus. He's going to be in command of his men. He's proven that he's I don't want to say quality, but he is a capable combat commander.
Certainly, yeah.
And so if he's it only makes sense if they're preparing for a conflict with NATO. And if they are preparing for a conflict with NATO, I feel that it's only if China is preparing to take Taiwan. And China has ramped up its operations off the coast of Taiwan over the last couple of weeks. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying that you start putting together all of these little things that seem unconnected, and it paints a nasty looking bad picture. So that's all.
Well, let me add one thing to that picture.
She's probably going to add the thing that makes me my pants.
Yep. Didn't Ukraine take a meeting with Xi Jinping?
I don't know the answer to that.
Yes, he did.
When did they
looking
do that?
for money? It was during the winter time. Has maintained communications with China with CCP. What if Ukraine is the false flag for the United States? So Russia and China can solidify their plans.
Oh, that's
your point being that Russia invaded Ukraine simply to throw people off the scent that Russia and China are preparing a joint military action. I think that goes right in line with what I was saying. Just
that would mean,
same destination, different course.
Right.
Yeah, but that means Zelensky's part of this sock puppet game too.
Not necessarily.
Well,
not
Zelensky's where the money is.
Here's why I think you're wrong.
Yeah,
Lori.
we've given him all the money.
So is China.
I would have believed that had it happened sooner, but the issues in Ukraine have been going on for a very long time. Russia has gotten bogged.
The art of war.
Russia has gotten bogged down. The Russian people are now starting to kind of, the public sentiment is turning against the war in Ukraine at some levels publicly, and they've expended a lot of resources and tanks and planes and guns and bullets that Russia's not rolling in dough, right?
No, right now the ruble's crashed.
The ruble's crashed, and they can't sell oil on the national stage because of so I think you'd have been right if earlier on, but I don't think an ongoing conflict where now they're mired in Afghanistan part deux benefits them at all with China. And on top of that, I don't think that them and China would need any kind of a distraction if they were going to do something together. They'd be quite formidable.
Well, China. I was just reading an article here not long ago. Paul's been talking about military-aged men coming across the southern border of the U.S. out of China,
which in and of itself is interesting.
Well, it is, and some of it goes back to some social unrest. With the Chinese population,
for sure.
Now, that doesn't mean that there's not a percentage of those military-aged men coming into the United States that aren't.
Right. To me, think about it. You don't need, we know now, we've discussed this. You don't need an army to shut down a third world or a first world country like the United States, right?
Right.
No, you take away our tech.
Yeah. You just, a few, you don't even need that many guys. Nope. If you had 200 Chinese soldiers in the United States right now, as in an undercover position, and you strike, some particular spots, along with cyber abilities of China.
Yeah, it's not that we don't have our own security here, though. I mean, heck, we've had what was it, the power station in Puyallup? There were
absolutely
people screwing with it,
Frederickson.
And that was caught in plenty of time. So it's going to take more than a few hundred.
It always struck me as interesting, right? Because you could have these guys sneak in. They go to houses, whatever, and the Chinese military has their address, and they can use something as simple as UPS. They can use our freedoms against us and ship over handheld EMP devices.
Yep.
Walk over, set that little basketball size EMP right down to a power station, pop it off. It's now it's fried.
Yep.
Right. And that one guy has just cut the power to an entire region.
All right. So let's pause this here. For those of you on AIM, we'll see you Sunday at 8:00. For those of you on Facebook, we'll wrap up with you quickly here in just a second. It's the Outlaw Radio. This is Megatalk Radio Network.com.
Hit that like and subscribe.
Hate all of you. Outlaw Radio. All right, we're on Facebook.
We're back.
On
Yeah, we're back.
fucking Facebook, man.
Don't get zucked.
Shit, did I cuss?
Don't
You
don't
did,
get
but
zucked.
you're on Facebook. It's okay.
Oh, fucking awesome.
Don't get zucked. He'll invite you in the ring.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting to see the Zuckerberg Musk brawl.
I would almost take Zuck on that one because
Really?
he trains.
He's been
yeah,
training
martial
in
arts
mixed
my
martial
for
arts.
years.
My money's on Musk. Musk says he's got at least 30 pounds on him. It
but
may not
pounds
be
doesn't mean anything if you're not fast
Uh,
acting.
I don't know
conditioned.
about that. If I've got 30 pounds on top of me, someone's just.
You better rephrase that, bud.
Yeah, you better.
Have you watched the?
I thought
have
the
you
exact
watched
same
an MMA
fucking
fight?
thing, Paul.
Man, if I'm outweighed by 30 pounds, I don't know. I mean, yeah.
I was
get where
wearing
you're
my
going.
track cleats. I got a
Yeah.
running start. Still couldn't bust into it.
So I was thinking it might be fun to play Richmond as like one of the intro or exit songs. So I was previewing it ahead of time, like, oh, that's right, that's probably not good for AM.
He just
All right.
released a new song too called World War III.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Who did?
The guy that did Richmond.
Richmond,
north
north
of
of
Richmond.
Richmond.
Mhm.
Oh.
Bullshit pay so I can sit out here and
Yeah, that probably wouldn't be good on.
Yeah, like I
No.
said, they played that live on Fox News right before that debate, man, and everybody's face was just like, "Oops."
Yeah. Plus copyright. Yeah.
All right. Philip, parting shots.
Oh, I got it. So the quote we tried to bring up earlier: "Hard times create
Yes.
strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times."
Yes, I think that
Good
we are in a position right now where we have created a couple of generations of weak men.
Of course,
I truly believe that.
my other parting shot being: remember, you teach a man to fish, he eats for a day. But if you teach a man to fish, he sits around in the boat all day drinking beer.
He should be sitting in the boat drinking bourbon.
It's
Yeah,
my parting shot. You do your own, all right?
Wow.
All right.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. Shots
Click,
fired.
click,
Yeah.
boom.
All right.
Press the bell.
Lori, parting shots.
Parting shots. Labor Day is coming up. Be aware. Traffic. Be aware of school starting back up. Little kids before and after work. All that good stuff.
Yeah.
Just keep your eye on the road. Watch out for motorcyclists. Anything else? That's it.
That's it. All right, Tom.
What, parting shot? Yeah, if you're gonna do a shot, do some bourbon. No, but drink responsibly. I mean, I know end of the summer is coming, and we've got like family time of year coming, holidays and
Jesus, Tom. Oh my God, you brought up fucking Christmas. I
did not
believe
bring up Christmas.
You said the holidays,
No,
Tom.
we've got parties
Labor Day.
before
Fuck
that.
you and fuck Kevin and his fucking
Labor
Christmas
Day, and
music.
we've got
It's beginning to
Halloween.
look
Those
a
are
lot like Christmas.
Ah.
Everywhere.
That's
you
not where I was
go.
going.
Okay.
It's really
Maybe
not
it's
where I
cold
was
outside.
going.
So that escalated quickly.
Yeah.
I'm not.
fucking
I'm not.
holidays.
I'm not ready for the weather like that yet. But I mean, there are parties.
Shut
coming.
up, Kevin.
There are
Maybe
parties
it's cold
coming.
outside.
There
Well,
are.
Yeah.
I like parties.
I'm there with you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Parties.
parties coming.
Parties are
If you're
nice.
gonna do a shot,
Oh,
Kevin, you suck.
yeah.
but
drink some
Tom, I
good
get it.
bourbon.
That reminds me, Paul, are you coming over to my neighborhood again this year for Halloween?
See,
I probably will.
Parties.
I will.
Don't believe
Yeah.
him.
Holidays.
It was a great place to go.
Yeah, that's
it really
what I
is
thought.
a great
Okay,
neighborhood. Yeah.
cool.
Don't believe him.
I
Fuck
do.
off, Kevin. You're
He's
still on the
supposed to-
shit list for bringing up the holidays and singing Christmas.
He's the one that brought up the holidays,
brought
not
the
me.
holidays.
Well, you
and
kept
you
it
said you were
going.
going to come over 3 months ago and help me figure out how to recaulk that backsplash by my sink.
Well, he
and you
came
said,
over
"I
to
got
my
it." So
house with his kids so they could go trick or treat.
I'm just telling you.
And parked in my
told me
driveway.
months ago he was coming over and hasn't come over.
Are you home tomorrow?
Only till 9. I got a doctor's appointment stuff for my mom. I got to be in Tacoma tomorrow. It's
Ew.
suck, man.
I'm
Try not to
working
What about
from
after?
home.
What about like a 4 o'clock?
Working
Call
from
me.
home.
Okay.
We'll see how long it takes me. to
Because
get
I'm
ready.
available. I'm doing some bids tomorrow.
Her
so.
appointments are always like way long and complicated.
I do
so-
understand that. Yeah,
All right.
for sure.
Parting shots, Paul.
Something that's very near and dear to my heart. It's a very serious conversation. So we got a couple minutes.
Fuck, here we go.
No, there's nothing, man. Don't be a dick.
You don't have anything.
Wait, when does Hunter take off? Or can you
January,
say
February ish.
That far?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're amping up. They start ramping up now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
so-
To get prepared. Okay.
Right, but
Thank
he
you.
won't be gone until after we hear Kevin sing Christmas music.
Take a look at the five and
Are you trying to fucking give me a heart attack over here, Tom? It will make this holiday
No.
season.
Turn it off, Phil.
It will make Hunter coming home for the holidays this year will be. It will have a lot more meaning knowing that where he's going after the holidays. If that makes
So
sense.
he'll be home for the holidays?
Yes.
Does that mean we can start holiday music earlier because you'll be in a better mood about it?
You can do whatever you want, Kevin. I don't tell you what to do. As far as that goes,
No,
you know my feelings on it.
No Christmas music before.
I'm asking
Halloween.
you, would you be okay with
After
this?
Halloween.
No
After
Christmas
that's
music
Halloween.
before.
That's
Halloween.
a that's a
Right, yeah.
no Christmas music before the week of Christmas. Come on, dude.
The
Oh,
week.
have you been to Costco? They already have Christmas out. Yeah.
Robert
Are you
says,
shitting me?
No, I am not. I
Robert-
took pictures. I'll
Robert
show you.
says you have to have another guy show you how to caulk your kitchen counter. Kevin G's turning your bro card. Here's the deal. I've caulked it before, but I can't get it to look right. Like if it looks kind of.
Kevin has trouble playing with cock.
Stop it. What? It
Be
looks
considered
messy. It doesn't look finished. It doesn't look good. So
What does that say about you, Paul?
I know how to
do you
do
need
it.
the black cock or white cock?
Fuck off.
What? There's
I just-
different colors of cock.
I do it. I know how to do it.
Is
It
there
just
a gray?
doesn't. It doesn't
Yes.
look right, and I want it to look right because it's in the kitchen. So
Okay,
I'm
well,
having
what
Paul
color's your
help.
cock?
Have you
Fuck off, Paul.
Instead of Paul, have you considered a Moyer?
All right. My parting shots. I have 3 parting shots. Parting shot number 1, Trojo will be in studio on Sunday for all 3 hours. Does anybody have a high chair we can bring in? A booster seat? Maybe one of those little kiddie swings that go in the door frame?
We could always ask Dennis.
Yes,
He might-
Robert. Kevin has a
Dennis might have
dysfunctional
high
cock.
chair.
Number 2, and I'm hoping Robert will get on this because he clearly has some aggression he needs to get out.
He just said,
Can
you
we
have a
find the
dysfunctional
people?
cock, so-
Can we find the people that are advocating all these goddamn fucking
roundabouts?
roundabouts in Port Orchard and put them before a firing squad?
Please.
This is dumb,
A
man.
round firing
Why
squad.
would you want me to be fired on?
Wait.
Why, are you behind that?
If I could be,
Stupid.
they're
Those are
wonderful.
so dumb.
By the
I'm really,
way,
I'm really all
the
about
top of our
diverging-
hill is going to have a roundabout.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
It's going to be horrible.
There's another roundabout going
The
in
top of
downtown
Anderson
Port
Hill
Orchard.
Yes.
roundabout? Oh, that would be so much better than what they got now.
No more
Um,
roundabouts.
traffic light.
Hold
Would
on. I do agree that a roundabout there makes more sense because it's a lot. There's a lot of dead, a lot of space. You can't see cars coming
Right.
if they're coming.
Yeah.
They're coming from Tremont, but still, we're putting roundabouts in commercial and residential neighborhoods on like Salmonberry and stuff. Which, if you've ever been out there, there's no need for it.
Are they anticipating growth? Is it maybe the county actually getting ahead of things?
I think Phil's
No.
got a. No, I think Phil's got a.
the county being
Very
proactive?
plausible.
Conceivable, but
Philip, I thought you didn't drink.
Say, no, he drinks. I've served him liquor before.
Yeah, well,
He's just responsible about it.
all right. And my
As we should
third
all
and my third and final parting shot, and this is in all seriousness. Another one of the heroes that we watched on TV passed away.
Terry Funk.
Terry Funk passed away. He was a wrestler for a really long time.
And an actor.
He was
Yeah.
in Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
I was never a huge Terry Funk fan, but Terry Funk was one of those old diehard, blade yourself, bleed like a sieve, just one of those really graphic old style wrestler guys.
Yeah.
And rest in peace, Terry.
I don't think he can hear you.
I believe everybody in heaven can hear us, Paul. Fuck you.
Do you really?
Yeah. Don't
Okay.
you?
No.
I believe right now Terry Funk is glued to his seat up there. Listen to
I
what we have to say.
believe
Show
Mary
some respect.
Magdalene was supposed to be the head of the church and not Peter.
I don't know how to respond to that. Anyway, and again, it reminds us how old we're getting.
I meant to say Paul, but
Reminds
Peter
me how
came
old
out.
we're getting.
But we were talking about
Sorry,
cock, so
I
Peter
forgot. I
is-
forgot to bring up the right button here.
Anyway, it just reminds me how old we're getting.
Sure.
When the people that we watched growing up are passing, it means that we're on deck.
Yep.
You know,
So
I
Stop
feel you.
it.
We realized today, at least at my church, we got 2 couples
we're in Paul's case on deck. But go ahead.
that are
I'm not ready
have
to be on
celebrated
deck.
63 years married.
Damn.
That's
Wow,
a long
That's
time.
a long ass time.
My folks.
2 couples.
Wow.
My folks just had their 50th a couple years ago, and I thought that was a long time.
It is it's a beautiful thing.
Man,
Mhm.
50 years with the same person.
And they're both alive.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
I'm lucky that way too. I still have both my folks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so here's why I'm not going to be able to be married for 63 years.
Because you're not going to
Because
live
you're
long
not going to
enough.
live long enough.
back when I was married, my wife and I had gone to couples counseling, and we had a lot of it. One of the issues we had was intimacy, and our counselor said,
You had a problem with sex?
No, just with
Intimacy.
just connecting.
Intimacy
right?
is
So
different.
one thing the counselor told me was, he said, look, at some point you just got to throw caution in the wind. Doesn't matter what you're doing, just stop what you're doing, and you guys just go at it. Just grab her, and just go for it. So I did that. I walked up, knocked the can of peas out of her hand. We went for it. And I could never go into that Walmart again. So anyway.
Damn, dude.
It's kind of like, I really enjoy watching Nickelodeon while sitting in a beanbag chair eating Cheetos naked.
Yeah.
Walmart's never going to let me back in the building.
Let's just say you got to
Do you
make
know
sure
how-
they don't have cameras in the elevators at some point.
Do you know what it was like when Paul was single? This is a true fucking story about Paul. You guys need to write this down. So one night,
Choose your words
one
carefully.
night, Paul is at home.
Uh-huh.
It's 2:00 in the morning,
Uh-huh.
and this girl is just beating on the door, just beating on his door, right?
Uh-huh.
And she's screaming, making a fuss. Paul's like, God, she's gonna wake up the neighbors. So after about 10-15 minutes of that, he finally gets up, gets dressed, go downstairs and locks the door.
Am I going to
lets
have to
her
get
out.
up and pull a Will Smith on you?
Lets her out.
He lets her out. All right, that ends the show. We appreciate you guys. We'll return the most offensive 5 minutes in radio at the end of the show on Sunday and on our Trojo. And remember, if you're a Cowboys fan, start getting used to the fact now that your team's going to suck. Good night, everybody.
Peace out.
Fucking Cowboys.
Fucking Christmas music.
We're on the brink of the next world war, and I don't think nobody's praying no more, and I ain't saying I know it for sure. I'm just down